security.
From the Anajar and Levine Studios, Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio.
ESPN 690 and Action Sports Jax presents Brent and Friends.
Today is one of the worst days that I've had in a long time.
We're getting a little punchy around here, people. It's been a lot in a row.
I would love to punch you guys.
Ow! It really hit me.
Brent and Friends with Brent Martineau, Aaron Schachter, and Casey Kurtz. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. ESPN 690.
This does not get old, man. Right? Winning is contagious. Winning is contagious. When you get it in your blood, there's something about it. Right? It makes you want to do just a little bit more. Okay? And we saw it at the end of this football game. Proud of you guys. Okay? All right, we got to do one before we break. All right, you ready? 1, 2, 3.
There's been a lot of Duvals lately, that courtesy of Jaguars.com and Jaguars YouTube channel. And another victorious night for the Jacksonville Jaguars, this time on a Thursday. Doug Peterson, an incredible 8-0 now in his coaching career on Thursday Night Football. That is a wacky stat, but a good one if you're a Jacksonville Jaguars fan. And quite frankly, I think they do the impossible or the improbable, not the impossible, but the improbable, and they win both games in London, come back and beat the Colts, and then win on Thursday Night Football at New Orleans. And I don't think they played a bad football team in that stretch at all. I think Indianapolis is probably the weakest of them all, but Atlanta's a tough team. I think New Orleans plays like a tough team. None of them are great, but obviously the Buffalo Bills are very good. I mean, that is a hell of a stretch for the Jacksonville Jaguars, just from a geographical and a logistic and body clock time zone standpoint, never mind a competition standpoint, and never mind after you were 1-2 on the football season and reeling a little bit after a huge loss and a disappointing and almost embarrassing loss to the Houston Texans on the home field. The season has flipped. They're 4-0 in October. They've got a chance to go 5-0 a year after they went 0-5. And, you know, you just heard from Doug Peterson, and I just don't know you can say enough about what Doug Peterson has done. I gave this stat, I think either it was just on social media or maybe I said it the other day on the show. Coming into this game, the Jags had won 10 of their previous 13 regular season games. Prior to that stretch, they had won 10 of their previous 51 regular season games. So 10-41 versus 10-3. I mean, it's pretty incredible. Just absolutely incredible what Doug Peterson has done to flip this thing. And above all, that's a game last night that the Jaguars that you know, the Jaguars that I know, the Jaguars that many know, including some of the players in that locker room that have been around for a bit, the Cam Robinsons, the Logan Cooks, the Josh Allens. The Jaguars lose that game. They find a way to lose that game. And it's a comeback, and the Saints kind of rescue their season, and the place is rocking. And, oh, man, Jags let one slip. Nope. Found a way. Got a little lucky and found a way and made a play. Hadn't made a play all afternoon or evening in the second half, and then they make a play on offense. Then they get a little lucky, and then Monteric Brown makes another play. I mean, that's just the way this football team is. It's pretty wild right now to see and watch it unfold. And Stuart Webber, I know your record since you had come to Jacksonville wasn't very good.
Not great.
This is hard. It's a great thing, but it's just a weird thing to kind of process because it has been bad. These games, this is weird to see a 4-game win streak. It was last year was a 5-game or really a 6-game win streak. This is just a new-look team, and I just don't think you can say enough about Doug Peterson. You can criticize some of the play calling and the short yardage stuff, and we'll do a little bit of that, and everybody will do that. But that's bigger than that. They just keep winning football games, man. I woke up this morning, I saw the kids and Steph, and I said, Jags don't lose anymore. I mean, they're just going to win. What the hell is this?
What time you guys get back yesterday, by the way?
I got home about 4:15.
Okay.
And which is crazy because I thought about this driving home. So 4:15, I walked into my house. And I walked into my house 11 days earlier, 12 days earlier, from London at 3:59. So that's odd. I got home from London at 3:59. I got home from New Orleans at 4:15. Weird, but obviously it was an afternoon game in London, all that kind of stuff.
And that's with dropping me off at my house after the London game.
Oh, that's true. I did drop you first.
That added some time on there as well. But yeah, to your point, I mean, you still have those creeping thoughts, right? As you're watching the game.
You're a sports fan.
Yeah,
right.
And we've seen a lot of this team over the last decade not come out the way it did here on Thursday night against the Saints. So, the creeping thoughts are always there, but it's great to watch. I mean, the excitement level and the fact that the fans get to enjoy this is really cool.
Yeah,
and hopefully they get to keep doing it. I was setting stuff up for our high school football stuff tonight and chatting with our Gainesville compatriots. We trade video here and there, and he was asking, are the Jags in for the start of something special? He asked me in a text, and I said, we certainly hope so. We certainly hope so. But hey, it's set up that way, right? And we talked about it all in the off season. We kind of got brought back down to earth with the 1-2 start, and that reset has turned into 4 straight wins now for the Jags.
Yeah, and I mean, the resilience of the football team is pretty good. It's pretty strong because you can sit there as a fan, and I had a bunch of this when I said it earlier this week. I never felt good about this New Orleans game from back in May, and I didn't back down from that. I didn't say you couldn't win it. I also said yesterday, Stuart, I said it on Countdown to Kickoff, I was like, it's really weird, but one of my thoughts at the team hotel is the people that are around the football team. It wasn't necessarily the football team, but people have been around here a long time. When you're talking to them and someone's like, yeah, we're going to win. Like, they're going to get it done. Like, it's okay. Like, there's almost now that setting in, which that's more of what the building is feeling, whether it's the locker room or infiltrating the sales meetings and the manager meetings and everything else. That feeling hasn't existed, not just outside the building, but inside the building. And that's what Doug is doing. And it's just a pretty wild thing to see and watch it unfold right now. And I like what you just brought up, because is this something special? Is this a special season? How good are the Jags? We'll get there in a moment, but just a little bit more on Doug. What's wild about what's happening here is last year the offense started to take off, like it took a jump. The crazy thing right now is the offense is doing some things. You can't say they're not doing anything. I mean, they did score 4 touchdowns last week against the Colts. They scored 25 points against a good Bills defense. They ended up putting 31 up, a defensive touchdown in the mix there as well. But they're starting to do some things. They're getting the lead early. They're scoring on first possessions. They have some really nice drives. But then they do get very clunky and stall out in the second half the last 2 weeks. And it's not just like this machine rolling along. And I did ask Doug today, I was like, it's a weird thing to ask with a 4-game win streak, but isn't that kind of frustrating for an offensive guy? And he said, yeah, I mean, it can be, but we can fix some of that. And what I read into it is they're nowhere near their ceiling. Like, they're just not near their ceiling at all. Like, this team has played okay and at times very good, and the defense has performed better than anybody imagined and admirably, and they're making plays all over the field when they need to make plays. But this is a team, I think, that is, like, not really that close to its ceiling, especially on the offensive side. I mean, this team can go up and down the field with the talent they have. And maybe last night was a bit of an indicator because their offensive line played better. If their offensive line starts to play like that, and then they get Zay Jones back and they get a little healthier, maybe even with a Walker Little, well, now you might be able to see that offense click the way it should click. And now knowing that Trevor's healthy and he's going to get some rest. But
I was going to say, I know how focused we were on Trevor's walk into the stadium, but I was also looking at the guy right in front of him in that line, and that's Brandon Sheriff, who was walking with a noticeable limp coming into the stadium.
Yeah. Some people said that when I wasn't really paying attention to it either because we were live on TV when I was walking in, and people said that. It's like, Sheriff didn't look good. I went back and looked at it, and you're right. He looked like, is he going to go tonight? Yeah. And I think there's a difference there. Tough on Trevor for playing. That's great. He can get hit. But when you're a guy trying to defend and engage for 60 plays in a game with 300-pound men,
more like 80 plays in this one, right?
well, for them, not Sheriff. Sheriff only had like 56 or whatever. But I think that's a different animal on your leg, right? That guy continues to play hurt. And I was trying to be very careful in the phrasing of questions to these guys when trying to prop Trevor up too much on the toughness scale, because these guys all do it.
Right.
You know that, Stuart. I mean, they all do it. They all play hurt. And
I think somebody said,
I mean,
after the first game, every single person is sore the entire season. There is, every player will be feeling it for the rest of the year.
But there is the Trevor part of that.
Yeah.
And we can go there right now. And the quarterback gets put on a different level, just the way the game goes. This kid, since the moment he walked in, young man, has been put on that pedestal. And he has been asked to do a lot more than any other player that's ever come here, maybe. Been asked to do is shoulder the face of the franchise, turn the franchise, flip the franchise, everything. And he's embraced it. And he seems very comfortable in the role. And that comes with good and bad and other things along the way. And obviously it was a tough start. And now he's turned it. And now they're winning. And all the things that you expected are starting to happen, really. We'll see if the Jags can win big. So for him to play out there, I wasn't sure what the reaction would be in the locker room after, how big, how dramatic it would play. Well, the answer, and you'll hear some of the sound we have, is pretty dramatic. Like, he earned even more respect by getting out there and playing on Thursday Night Football on a short week on that knee. He certainly didn't have to do it. Of course, we all said he probably wants to do it. He's a big-time competitor, but I think he really raised his profile. If there was any more way to go up in that locker room, in that building, I think it happened. That was less about the outside, about us, the way we look at Trevor, or the fans look at Trevor, or the league looks at Trevor. That was about how the other 52 and the people in that room and the coaching staff and everybody else organizationally looks at Trevor Lawrence. And then just the lunacy of having a career high in rushing on a day when we wonder if he's going to play because of a knee brace is just so the NFL. Hope you didn't bet the under on the prop bet, whatever it was. Stuart, you're going to have to get to the call if we do have a caller, because I didn't hear you.
Yeah, no worries. We do have South Beach Gary here.
Alrighty, right off the
line,
rip, huh?
And asking me right away, where have I been? Well, I'm here now, and let's go ahead and bring South Beach Gary in. You're on, Gary.
Just having fun with you, sir. Hey, Brent, look, I get it. He played with the so-called bum knee and all that. But the guy, the Jags, he was the leading rusher for the Jags. I mean, the Saints dropped a touchdown pass that would have tied the game late. Basically, he only scored 24 points because they got a defensive touchdown. They did very, very little in the second half except there towards the end. I think Trevor had like 30 passing yards until that pass to Kirk in the second half. 30 passing yards. I mean, Trevor's not an elite quarterback, but I mean, people like Steven and all the local Jag fans, Trevor this and Trevor that. But he's over 204 yards. Tua does that in a half many games.
Come on, South Beach Gary. Get South Beach Gary out of here, and I'm going to tell you why you're out of here at South Beach Gary, because this is the foolishness that I keep getting today. You want to look at a second half. Well, then look at the last 4 games in the first half. Double-digit lead every game the last 4 games. They couldn't get the first possession going. The first 2 games of this winning streak, they scored on the second and third possession. The last 2 weeks, they've set the tone on offense with big drives and scoring drives with touchdowns to punctuate it. When you take a lead in the NFL, you dictate play. That's what I'm after with this offense. That's what I was after all year with Trevor Lawrence, taking a step in year 3. You dictate play on offense. They scored 17 points without the defense doing anything in terms of a pick 6 or anything like that, or even a turnover in the first half. 17 points in the first half against a team that gives up 16 a game. Oh, but wait a minute. They didn't do anything. They had the ball for 3 plays in the third quarter. 3 plays. New Orleans had the ball for 13 minutes. So you're going to sit here and say 7. So in all the possessions up until the end of the third quarter, they scored 17 points and then had a 3-and-out in the second half. And oh my gosh, the offense stinks. Now the offense didn't do much else until it mattered, and then they finally scored. I'm not sitting here and defending the second half offense. The second half offense, I started the show, they get clunky. They got to figure it out. There's ceiling and room to grow. But again, they did score 24 points and made the play when it matters in the final 4 minutes. Christian Kirk made a big play. And no, it's not just 204 yards. You telling me those running plays weren't big? It's recognizing that the lane is open. It's running, having the willingness to run on the knee instead of being afraid of it. He ended up with 263 yards on the day, South Beach Gary. So go look at the QBR. I don't even know what the stat means, but a lot of times you can have a 320-yard passing day and you throw for 2 touchdowns and no picks, and it's like 112 rating, and then the QBR is somewhere like 64 or something. I don't even know what it means. You know what his QBR was yesterday? Like 85 or 86 or 84 or something like that.
84.1.
So that one does factor in.
A little higher than Derek Carr's 36.9.
That one factors in the runs and other things. And I'll use it, here in my little rant that, okay, it does matter. It's a good little piece of evidence that there was more of a complete game than 204 yards. Their offense is not clicking all the way through. Absolutely. But they got 17 points in the first half. 17 big points to take a 17-6 lead, and they dominated the first 3 quarters of play. Quite frankly, they dominated the Saints in their building on a short week, playing 3 games in 12 days. And then what happened in the fourth quarter is the offense didn't have the punctuating drive until the end, and the defense got flat out tired. I mean, the defense was on the field forever, and they hurried it up, and the defense started to give some stuff up. And the Saints are capable. They've just been doing nothing on offense. So, here we go. We're going to get this today. It's like, what's wrong with the offense? What's wrong? Trevor Lawrence is winning football games, and you're going to tell me that, he's not the franchise guy, this elite guy? Go look at the Buffalo game when he needed to win. They don't win the Buffalo game without him. They don't win the Atlanta game probably without him, where it's a lot closer than that. The defense has really rescued them at times. Can he play a bit better? Absolutely. I don't think he's played a poor football game yet, though, this year. We're 7 games in, and I do not think he's played a poor football game. He's made some poor plays. But, it's a ridiculous notion to sit here and not, if you're going to acknowledge the second half, then acknowledge the first half. And they are taking leads in games and dictating play on offense the last couple of weeks, which I've been begging for 15 years, but really the last year. And back to the Trevor Lawrence, again, in the end of the day, the Trevor Lawrence injury might actually be a big deal in a positive way for the Jags. It might be a big deal because I think it actually galvanized the group even more. And kind of propped him up even more and maybe even gave him a little bit more confidence and cachet in the locker room and all those things that you do as a young franchise quarterback. And I'm not saying he's the only one that's ever played through injury. These guys all do it. I think Derek Carr was even banged up, and he's been banged up. But I think it's a big deal to the locker room. And I say that because I know it's a big deal. They said it. Guys like Evan Ingram, the defenders said it. That was a big 5 days for the Jags. And in a weird way, what everyone was complaining about Sunday into Monday in the play call and Press Taylor fire him, I can't believe they would roll him out. The fact that he avoided major injury, the fact that it put him in this position to actually weather an injury, show up and play, give it a go. It was such a huge story. Then even the struggles. And I love what Trevor said yesterday because I think this is true. Yeah, you'd love to blow them out and go away winning and then not have to worry about playing the fourth quarter. Well, guess what? He didn't have to play in the third quarter. He played 3 plays. That's really the quarter he sat out. But he said, this is what builds teams, is when you don't put them away, they come back, and then you've got to do a couple of more things to win the game. Sure, could it work the opposite? Absolutely. Is it a little less comfortable? Yeah. But they actually did it. Christian Kirk made a play that, honestly, we haven't seen Christian Kirk make that kind of play since he's been in Jacksonville. And he's been awesome. Do you guys know Christian Kirk was that fast? To put on the burners on that play.
I'm wondering if there's part of it, too, that has to do with the Saints' defense because of those alleyways, right? You saw it a lot with Trevor's runs where he would find that alleyway and be able to go untouched for 20 yards. And then you see it with the Christian Kirk run. I'm not saying he's not fast. He was very fast on the run as well. But it just kind of opened up perfectly to where he had this lane to run and take off. And I'm wondering, how impressive is it that the coaching staff, maybe schemed up some of these things when you're considering the short week? I think that has to be taken into consideration. I know they plan ahead of time for a lot of things, but this is that condensed week. You don't have an entire 6 days to really prepare that game plan and get everything ready to go. But from a schematic standpoint, it seemed good to me.
It was a cool kind of route, actually. Like he turned a couple different directions. I saw it broken down by Baldinger, and he got the space. Obviously, it's a pretty simplistic throw, I think, for Trevor and catch. But what I saw at the top there, as he's making the turn, it's usually a spot where Kirk he'll either get to the out of bounds. I mean, you're now in under 4 minutes. I mean, you didn't need to get out of bounds there, but you might just kind of sit in there and make sure you protect the ball and you pick up the first down and you keep things moving. Now you're in your field goal range, all those things. But it was like I felt like the defender on the outside thought he might just kind of do that, and then he just, boom, took the turn, went upfield, and then the rest is history. But I do think we forget about speed when it comes to a guy like Christian Kirk, because the way we see him play is usually finding the soft spot in a defense or kind of fooling them with a 12-yard pass play or maybe an 18-yard pass play because of the route running and the savvy that he has. Well, we forget he's pretty fast too, and he's a dynamic player. And in this moment, he was a dynamic playmaker. I thought it was a big moment for Kirk because I think he goes under the radar. And I said this, I think, last week. I think part of the reason he goes under the radar is because he's not making the one-handed catches or anything. He's kind of open when he makes the catches because he's already done the work before he gets the ball. And then it's a lot of 12, 13, 15, 18 kind of plays, not like these long touchdowns all the time. But last 2 weeks, he gets the big touchdown on 29-yarder. Then he gets this one in the big moment on the 44-yarder. So that overpaid, big contract, national perspective of Christian Kirk, well, he got to show them a little bit. If they hadn't seen enough last year with a career year and what he's already been doing this year, he got to show them big time on Thursday Night Football making a play. I mean, listen, I do think in that the funny part is when you're the quarterback, you get kind of a lot of credit for making a play in a big moment. I mean, I don't really think Trevor did that much in that moment. I mean, he got him the football, and then Christian Kirk kind of did the rest. And Maurice Jones-Drew broke down the Jamal Agnew part of that, where that punt return, it was just 9 yards. But it saved him a bunch of field position that he went up and caught it. Smart play by Agnew there to give the Jags really good field position. And in hindsight, the Jags would have been better off maybe getting a first down, hanging around the 30-yard line, finish the drive in a 4-minute offense, kick a game-winning field goal, and not have to do with all the stress of the Saints marching down the field. But then that gave us a new hero of sorts, and that's Monteric Brown. Making a play. I mean, this guy got picked on last week by Indianapolis. Everybody's worried about it, and nobody really knows what to expect. Makes his first start, and he made 2 huge plays. Made another play earlier in the game in the end zone that forced a field goal, so he saved 4 points, and I think that was after the muffed punt by the Jaguars. And so they had turned it over twice. Instead of giving up 7, it was a 7-3 game. Monteric Brown knocked one away, and then he gave up the touchdown, which was a really nice play. Looks like he got his head around maybe a shade too late on the Michael Thomas touchdown in the corner, and then he makes the play here and did his homework on it. He basically knew when they were getting after Carr, he was going to go throw that fade route and try to attack him, and he was ready for it. So I thought it was pretty neat after the game. A lot of guys brought up Monteric Brown and what a moment for him, and kind of boosted him up a little bit and showed off the Jags' depth. I think this is a game in a couple of weeks that actually showed the Jags' depth that they built in the offseason. Paid some dividends here from the offensive line the last couple of weeks to some of the defenders, from Chad Muma getting in when Devin Lloyd was out, Lloyd coming back in playing fantastic football, to the addition now of DeJuan Smoot back in there, and to guys like Monteric Brown. I'll tell you one other underrated guy that's having a fantastic season, but he's not going to be like this stat sheet guy. He'll never go to a Pro Bowl, anything like that. Trey Herndon's playing the best football of his life. Trey Herndon's playing excellent. Darius Williams played another hell of a game, just didn't have an interception this time, but actually assisted on one instead for Foye Oluokun. So much to like about the Jacksonville Jaguars. We'll talk more about the defense and the coming out party for a guy like Foye Oluokun. What's next? How special can this team be? How good are they? Where's the ceiling? That's kind of my curiosity about the Jags right now, because they are set up. The Jags are really set. They have put themselves in a position to be set up for success the remainder of this season. We'll break that part down. And how good can the Jaguars be? We'll hear from a bunch of the players in the locker room right after the game late last night in New Orleans. Jags now go to 5-2. Brent and Friends on ESPN 690, hanging on a Friday in Jacksonville.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
An 8 on the WOKV weather meter. A few scattered clouds along with a brief shower into this evening, then clearing later tonight as temperatures drop into the 50s. Beautiful weekend with mostly sunny skies Saturday and Sunday. Afternoon highs between 80 and 85. From the First Alert Weather Center, I'm Action News Jax Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish for 104.5 WOKV.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beards Diamonds. Don't miss Beards' incredible buy one, get one on wedding bands now through October 31st.
As the seasons change, one thing remains the same. Jacksonville and all of Northeast Florida are fueled by Celsius Essential Energy Drinks. If you spot ESPN 690 anywhere in the community, come hang with us and grab an ice-cold Celsius.
Let me help you get a little something for free with the air conditioning team I use. It's Bold City Heating and Air. Tell them Brent sent you and you get a free duct cleaning with the purchase of a new unit. BoldCityAC.com. Here's why I've partnered up with Bold City Heating and Air. It's a Jacksonville-grown and family-owned and operated business. Most AC places locally have been sold to corporations, not Bold City Heating and Air. And they take care of you the old-fashioned way. Awesome communication, awesome customer service, and they have an awesome new look. BoldCityAC.com for a tune-up on that overworked AC unit. BoldCityAC.com. Car Bravo is here at Nimnick Buick GMC, a better way to shop used vehicles with transparent pricing. Nimnick Buick GMC has joined the Car Bravo family and is the only Car Bravo dealer in Northeast Florida. Hey, it's a win-win for everyone. You always win at Nimnick Buick GMC. I've always won 6 different cars purchased for our family. Terrific selection of used cars under $20,000 at Nimnick. Experience Used-Phoria with Car Bravo online at NimnickBuickGMC.com or visit the showroom off Phillips Highway. GMC, we are professional grade.
It's old school card collecting with new school breaks. Davoli's House of Cards does it all. Missing a card from an old 1987 baseball top set? They probably have it. Want to join in on a live TikTok break with the hottest new cards? You can do it with Davoli's House of Cards. Stop on by, talk some sports, find your favorite cards for your kids or for you, like when you were a kid. From Trevor Lawrence rookies to Pokemon and more, Davoli's House of Cards on 210. And join their live breaks on TikTok at Davoli's House of Breaks.
Discover how good your water can be with the new Connecticut softener and drinking water system. Connecticut's twin tank non-electric softeners are the most efficient softeners available. We have one in our home. We absolutely love it, have had it for over 5 years. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. Right now, you can save up to $1,000 on a Connecticut K5 drinking water system when you purchase a Connecticut Premier softener. If you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and provide solutions that are right for you and your family. Imagine having clean, clear, purified water at your home. No more plastic bottles, no more waste, just great tasting, purified water that you can trust. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com, 904-552-1242 or cgcwater.com. Financing options available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm a proud customer of CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer, Florida license number CFC 1428211.
Get into the game at Best Bet. Come enjoy the best in-card games, hospitality, and fun at Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park. You don't have to be a poker pro to have a great time. Featuring poker games of all limits and easy-to-learn games like Ultimate Texas Hold'em and Pai Gow. Wager on exciting simulcast races and enjoy delicious food and drink. Our card rooms are open Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 4 a.m. and 24 hours on Saturday and Sunday. Details at bestbetjax.com. That's bestbetjax.com.
I'm Mark Anajar.
I'm Glenn Levine.
I'm Ellie Anajar.
And we're Anajar and Levine. Experience the Anajar and Levine difference by calling us with any of your legal needs. Call 1-800-747-FREE for a free consultation and take back control of your life.
Main office, Jacksonville.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I'm hitting the road with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
Stay with ESPN 690 for your chance to see and hear our special events in the Farah and Farah Performance Studio throughout 2023. Powered by Farah and Farah and ESPN 690, Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio.
Good. I mean, golly, it's crazy how you have something like that going on and you don't plan on moving a lot and you end up running the ball more than I usually do. So it's funny how that works. But, it felt pretty good. I was happy with it and didn't bother me too much. Definitely didn't, set it back. So I'm really, really happy with it. That was the goal, is play, find a way to win the game and not set it back. And we'll get 10 days now to recover and get ready for Pittsburgh. So, I mean, it went perfect, honestly, so that was really good.
There's a lot that goes into this, and I do think this is a thought I had today because, the dynamic of social media in the last days was kind of interesting to me, and I love y'all. I really do. We love interacting. But I'm just like, man, everybody who's watched the Jags forever, are we appreciating this stuff enough? Appreciate the wins. This is not like the old Jags. And sure, it's easy to fix stuff and complain about stuff. That's part of the fun of it, too. And there's plenty to do there. But, man, don't let it overshadow a win. And as I kind of went back and looked, I think there are more people saying that, too, than maybe I was hearing even yesterday or earlier today or early this morning, late last night, whatever it is. But I always used to say, I think sometimes coaches make football harder than it is. Like trying to reinvent it and trying to outsmart everybody and just make it simple sometimes. But when Doug Peterson got here, now you watch the evolution of this offense and you're kind of watching Trevor Lawrence grow in front of your eyes and you talk to some folks about it more and more and you learn what they're trying to do, and you see the big picture of it, at least from a different lens. You do appreciate that it's not as simple as you might make it out to be, or maybe even I used to try to make it out to be. And maybe now that we do try to make it out to be like it's just some video game on social media, that they should be able to make every play work. And the appreciation I have for it, like last night, is there's a lot going on. They really don't know what's going to happen with Trevor in live action, moving around with the brace on, all that stuff. I mean, that is definitely an X factor in this game. They feel good about it or they wouldn't have played him. But they certainly don't know. So you're scheming up things that are going to happen faster, and I think he was, right? I think he was only pressured 8% of the time. Offensive line held up, but they also got the ball out of his hands. So in some respects, that eliminates part of the playbook or changes some of the playbook. I don't think it was vanilla by any means, but it certainly hampers some of the things you're trying to do because you're also trying to protect. On top of that, you get new players in the game, not that he's a new player, but Jamal Agnew playing more and Tim Jones playing more because Zay Jones is out. Still got Walker Little out. And it's an offensive line that you got a little scar tissue in the first 6 games because they haven't been great. It's good defense on the other side. Short week. All these things that you're trying to balance if you're Doug and press and everything else. And the last thing they had on their mind was, hey, Trev, we're going to need you to go 8 carries for 59 yards today. The play that stands out to me, there's a lot of straight line running, but the play that stands out to me, Stuart, is he had a chance to get out of bounds, like on a 4 or 5 yard run, and the son of a gun cut it back inside.
Saw that over pursuit from the defender, said, you know what, I'm going to get me 3 more yards.
Like he almost planted the left knee in the ground and turned it inside for like a half more yard. And I think you love that about Trevor, but I do also think like these are the things we talk about Trevor. Sometimes he wants to play that football and that backyard stuff and that tough guy stuff and make it a play too much. And that was one of those moments like, Trev, we don't need that extra half yard, man. Just go out of bounds.
I'm pretty sure in week 1, the cameras captured him telling Anthony Richardson to avoid the hits, young man. And
I know
well, Anthony didn't listen, and now Trevor's not listening to his own advice either.
Overall in the run game, Trevor does a good job of avoiding hits, right? This was more don't put your knee in too much danger, but he does a pretty good job of avoiding hits in the run game. He takes some, but overall he's done a pretty good job, I think, in his career. And he's running a lot right now, Stuart. Like I don't know if that's something he is now seeing when it's not there take off because it's opening up like Mahomes does this a lot, Josh Allen. I mean, Lamar, like the good quarterbacks do this, especially ones that can move. But if you go back, I think, to the Atlanta game, Trevor's running the football at a pretty high rate. And they've been very productive runs, a lot of big third down runs, and then yesterday some big ones to get into New Orleans territory.
I mean, it's taking it into your own hands and opening up the passing game, right? I mean, if they're gonna forget about you as a runner, you got to take advantage of it and you got to make them pay, and that's certainly what he's been doing with those kind of plays, and hopefully that pays benefits later to where you have to. Maybe have a linebacker spying or a safety dropping in to keep an eye on Trevor. And that can only help the Jaguars in the advantages moving forward.
I think I actually love it. Now, again, the knee withstanding here in this particular situation, you got to be careful. But overall, I love it. And this is why I don't understand why teams don't do this more, really. In the 3rd and 4th and 1 situations where they're not having a lot of success.
What do you mean?
Well, yeah. Why they actually did last week for the first time in a long time.
They had a couple ones last week. We even highlighted in all of our shows, and then here we are, we're back.
Yeah, here we are again, right? And that felt like a big one at the time. They needed to keep the ball, and they didn't. But why not spread everybody out with all the weapons? And if nothing is there, you just need a yard. Like if you're going to come from the shotgun, which they're obviously just going to keep doing, they're not going to run the quarterback sneak, and they're going to run from the shotgun on 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 for whatever reason. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me either. Like, I get it, but they're doing it. And it doesn't seem like they're changing it. So if you're going to do that, why not just spread everybody out? If your first and second options aren't there, well, take off and just pick up. Like, I don't know how you defend it, really, unless you just get a great push.
You can't defend Taysom Hill.
You can't. Well, this was the same. Remember the Giants game Monday night, the last play, Tyrod Taylor from the 1, and they stuffed everybody in. And I'm like, why do you do that? You take Tyrod Taylor out of the play. Like, that's actually what the guy's good at. Spread him out. Instead, they bunched it up and tried to go for the Waller play, but it was a one-option play. I hate that. Like, I hate one-option plays in a gotta-have-it situation. Because if the defense wins, you're screwed. If they win and you have 3 options, well, now you might be able to go to plan B and win plan B. So I wish they would do that more. Hey, how good are the Jags? The Jags they've won 4 in a row. They're 5-2. They're in the AFC South lead. The Kansas City Chiefs have 5 wins. The Miami Dolphins have 5 wins. So the Jags, even at the end of this week, if both win, and by the way, both have, the Chiefs play the Chargers at home. And who am I missing? The Lions play the Ravens, and they have a 4-game win streak right now. I guess that's what I was thinking about. I don't even know who the Dolphins play this. Oh, Dolphins play on Sunday Night Football. It's a big one, right? Against the Eagles. Yeah. So, I mean, I think the Chiefs will win at home against the Chargers. So they'll probably go to 6-1. Dolphins could easily lose and be 5-2. And I think the Dolphins are better, by the way, in this. They've just played electric. So unless they really put up a clunker, I'm going to go with the Dolphins even over the Jags right now. I think the Lions are very good, like very, very good. They know who they are. They do it well. And that being said, I think they could lose to the Ravens, no problem. And the Jags would have like either the first, second, or third longest win streak right now in the NFL. No matter what happens, they're going to have at least the third longest win streak in the NFL. They're going to be a game behind the best record in the NFL at worst. And they haven't even really clicked altogether. There's some stuff, which I'm sure the Dolphins could say. The Chiefs definitely could say that. The Chiefs' offense has not clicked. And I bet the Detroit Lions have some things they'd like to clean up, too. It's the nature of it when you're in the middle to late October, and it's still somewhat early in the season. How would you answer that, Webber? How good are the Jaguars?
Well, I feel like what they've shown is how good they can be. How good are they is going to be the question of how much can they live up to that full potential, because the one thing they have this year that they didn't have last year is just winning some of those games where you weren't sure it was going to happen until late in the year last year, I should say. Kind of that halfway point last year is when they flipped that switch. We always talk about learning to win, right? And for an entire decade of covering this team, 2017 notwithstanding, they did not know how to win. In 2017, they were aided by, an unworldly defense that was just out there scoring a touchdown every single game for them. And hey, this Jaguars defense is somewhat similar in the fact that they've been providing points. We look on the surface of it and say, oh yeah, they scored 31. Well, the offense scored 24. Foye Oluokun with his first career pick six, a big contributing factor to get another touchdown for the final scoreline. So the defense is certainly playing tremendous this year. And the offense, you're all wondering when are they going to hit that stride? And look, I'm okay with them not hitting their stride in week 7, quite honestly. You want to be hitting it in week 15, 17, the playoffs, once we get to that point. So I actually think that the way this schedule lays out is so perfect for the Jags with all this time, right around this time of year, where you have in-season game tape you can go back and look at from the first 7 games, and tons of time in the meeting room, in the practice field, where you can develop what's going to be the answer and move us forward. It's almost like a reset. We said that a little bit with London, right, where it was this time where everyone's together and bonding and
yeah, they believe that too,
and they do believe it. Yeah, but I mean, with this mini bye followed by a game followed by the real bye, that coaching staff has all this time to go to work on that and self-scout themselves and figure out what do we need to do.
Well, they're going to have opportunities to prove just how good they are. They'll have San Francisco, they'll have Cincinnati, they'll have Baltimore on the other side of the bye. They get healthy. See, that's the thing. They get Walker Little back probably. They get Devon Hamilton. They get Zay Jones. Trevor looks like he's going to be okay. I feel like they are where they are right now, playing pretty much a B game for them. I think maybe it's a B-plus game because the defense has been good. But I think Trevor has another level to go. He hasn't played poorly, but I think he does have another level where he can get. I think they can get Calvin Ridley really going. I think Zay coming back into the fold makes everything deeper. Devon Hamilton, and if they make a move at the deadline for another pass rusher, could be even more. So I feel like they're in the B category, but I got to be careful to do that too, because they actually blew out Atlanta. You win 23-7, it's a blowout. They were on the way to blow it. They dominated the Bills. I know the score said 25-20, but they basically dominated them. They dominated the Colts. And they were dominating for 3 quarters last night against the Saints, and the Saints got really desperate and beat up a tired defense a little bit in the fourth quarter. So, I mean, they might be real. Like, it doesn't feel like they've played their A game, and they're basically dominating people the last 4 weeks, is what I just said, for most of the football. It's pretty exciting. I mean, and it's a special locker room. They've got a really good coach, and they have a franchise quarterback that has more room to go. They've missed Zay Jones for 4 games. Devon Hamilton hasn't played yet, and he might be their best guy on the front outside of Josh Allen. I mean, listen, everybody can say, yeah, if we have this, if we have that. I mean, there's always – the Jags can really sit in a perch right now and be like, hey, we feel like we're a lot better. But we are 5-2 and have won 4 in a row. So it's really I think the answer to that question is the Jags are good. I think like in another 2 months, another month and a half, whatever it looks like, the Jags could be really good. Really good. And I think around the country, you're starting to hear that. I think everybody knows this offense it hasn't fully taken off. It's starting to show signs over the last month, but hasn't fully got there. If this offense gets there, and might I remind you that the rest of the NFL isn't fully there offensively either, outside of a couple teams. Like that has just been the way it's been for whatever reason in the NFL this year. And I think this defense is going to continue to be very strong against the run. We know they're going to get the ball when they've got to, or at least have a couple of chances. And you know what else we know? They're going to give up some yards. Absolutely. They're going to give up some things. It's not a perfect defense. Good football team. And I think the special teams outside of the Houston game is very good. McManus has been money. Logan Cook, he's always good. And Jamal Agnew continues to make plays in the return game. Again, that was a 9-yard return that felt bigger than that yesterday. And he had the big one for 53 yards last week against the Colts to keep the momentum. All right, we didn't get to Roy Robertson, Harrison, Evan Ingram. We'll do that on the other side. We've got just Jags most of the day, plus a little high school football, week number 9 here as we get closer and closer to the month of November. Brent and Friends on ESPN 690 are always welcome to call 904-362-9901.
Kevin Harlan here from Westwood One. From Minneapolis, the Vikings and 49ers take the Monday Night Football stage this week. Brock Purdy in San Francisco coming off their first loss of the season. Now they face a Minnesota team looking to build on their win last week. Join Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner and me for all the action on Monday Night Football.
Coverage begins Monday night at 7:30 on ESPN 690.
Brent and Friends is sponsored by Best Bet, now open in St. Augustine.
Advisory services through Talon Private Wealth and SEC registered investment advisor. Order license D056341.
If you're retired or close to it, you're being bombarded with lots of information, some of it good, some of it bad, but you have to know the potential roadblocks moving forward. My name's Mike Lester. I'm holding a free webinar, What's It Like to Retire, Take That Money, Live Off of It for the rest of your life, and How Do You Need to Be Invested?
Reserve your spot for October 26th at 3 p.m. Eastern. GuardingYourNestEgg.com.
This event is completely free. Register now.
GuardingYourNestEgg.com.
This is Ortho Health Insights, tips for life in motion, brought to you by the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute. Shoulder pain can be caused by repetitive or overhead activities. Bursitis, tendonitis, and frozen shoulder are all examples of shoulder pain without a known injury. Alternating heat and cold therapies, massage, and stretching, and paying attention to your sleep style can help. One of the most important things you can do if you have shoulder pain is rest. You can also reduce inflammation in your body naturally through your diet. If your pain lasts longer than 2 weeks, or if you feel a pop or tearing sensation in your shoulder, the orthopedic physicians at JOI are experienced in diagnosing the cause and treating your pain. Whether you need a course of physical therapy or surgery, JOI can help. Call 904-JOI-2000. That's 904-JOI-2000. Or to learn more, go to JOI.net. JOI is the official sports medicine provider for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Time to hoop it up and swoop it up with the Ospreys. Men's and women's basketball, the opening tip is almost here. UNFOspreys.com for your season tickets. Plenty of options in the beautiful UNF Arena to watch a fun brand of basketball. Season tickets, flex plans, and premium seat and suite options are available. Matthew Driscoll and the men's team always play an exciting brand of basketball. And welcome new women's coach Erica Lambert to UNF Arena. It's the busiest home slate in the D1 era. More than 30 games at UNF Arena. See one and you'll want to see more. UNFOspreys.com.
Play a little pool, watch some football, eat wings, and, of course, plenty of adult beverages. Perfect Rack Billiards is the place to be on game day and every day. Now open for lunch at 11:30 on Friday and Saturdays. Daily specials like 75-cent Wing Wednesday, $3 Draft Thursday, and $3 Seltzer Saturday. Pool, darts, shuffleboard in a fun, clean atmosphere at Perfect Rack Billiards. It's your Jags game day headquarters. 10 wings and a pitcher for $20 and a free shot with every Jags touchdown. It's up to the Jags to score. It's up to you to have fun at Perfect Rack Billiards. Standouts in Jacksonville.
Discover how good your water can be with the new Connecticut softener and drinking water system. Connecticut's Twin Tank non-electric softeners are the most efficient softeners available. We have one in our home. We absolutely love it, have had it for over 5 years. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. Right now, you can save up to $1,000 on a Connecticut K5 drinking water system when you purchase a Connecticut Premier softener. If you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and provide solutions that are right for you and your family. Imagine having clean, clear, purified water at your home. No more plastic bottles, no more waste, just great tasting, purified water that you can trust. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com, 904-552-1242 or cgcwater.com. Financing options available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm a proud customer of CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer, Florida license number CFC 1428211.
Are you a real estate investor or have considered investing and want to know where you can put your money that offers solid returns and protects against market volatility? It's Rich Jones. I want to introduce you to DLP Capital, CEO and founder Don Wenner.
For more than a decade, DLP Capital has delighted our investors with consistent double-digit returns. Through the smart, conservative real estate investment strategy our company is built on, we have been able to achieve this with monthly distributions and tax shelters so our investors can keep more of their returns.
Dial ** invest on your cell phone or visit highyieldreturns.net.
Happy 62nd birthday, Granddad.
Thanks, sweetheart.
I got you this.
A mug. What does it say? Beware. If you are 60 or older, you may be at increased risk of serious consequences from RSV, respiratory syncytial virus, compared to adults younger than 60.
Not all dangers come with warning labels. Talk to your pharmacist or doctor about getting vaccinated against RSV today. RSV vaccines, including Pfizer's, are available. Learn more at bewareofrsv.com. Brought to you by Pfizer.
This is Brent and Friends with Brent Martineau.
You don't even like your quarterback.
Casey Kurtz.
You don't even like your team.
And Aaron Schachter.
I don't even like myself, guys. Do you know me?
On Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. ESPN 690.
I challenged them to be great. You know, they don't have to be perfect. Just be great. Have great passion. Have great energy, and they did that today.
He's pushing all the right buttons again. You know, earlier in the year, I said 1 and 2. I was like, Doug's got to start. He's got to find whatever it is, and he's finding it now. Next couple of weeks, I think he'd like to find a little bit more of that consistency on offense. A couple of things that are plaguing them, and I don't think it's much. You know how close it is for the Jags? I'll give you 2 possessions in the second half. One, Evan Ingram jumps offside, so it's 1st and 15, and they get like a half a yard. Actually, this might have been the same possession. No, I think it was a different one. They get like a yard short, and they end up punting the ball, I'm pretty sure. And then the 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 stuff. And the 3rd and 1, I actually thought they got the first down from my view. Now, Doug said today they didn't, but I thought they got it. I thought it was either, I don't know if it was a bad spot. I just thought where they spotted it, it looked like it was a first down. Like I would have asked for a measurement. But they didn't. So, and then they didn't get 4th and 1. But, I mean, if they can, those plays go another yard, we're not talking about their offense breaking down, and we probably are talking about a game that they were able to go away and win. Before we hit the break, let's hear from Evan Ingram and Roy Robertson Harris in the locker room yesterday talking about the big win.
How big is 3 in 12 days?
Huge. Backs against the wall. Start off 1 and 2, going to London. The leaders, like one of this guy right here, one of our big leaders. We made a decision. It's paying off for sure.
You guys have been around this thing a lot. The league's weird. That was one of those weird games. It looked like you had it, then you didn't, then you got it.
Anytime, any place, man. Got to go out there and play, no matter when, no matter where we're on the road. We're gonna play. We're gonna play for each other, and we're gonna play 4 quarters and beyond if need be.
What does it mean for a guy like Foye to do what he did tonight?
Foye's a baller. That's point blank. He's one of the best linebackers I've ever played with, man. I don't think he gets the recognition that he deserves. Leading the league in tackles 2 years in a row with 2 different teams. I mean, it speaks for itself.
He's the best in the world at what he does on the field, but he's by far probably the best leader I've seen.
Yeah.
To have a defense playing like where they're playing, and he be at the center of it, leading it, it's a real honor to be a part of. He's one of the best I've ever seen for sure.
Speaking of leadership, I know you guys all get back from injuries, but when you have your quarterback doing it on a short week, what does it mean in the big picture?
Man, I've seen a lot in this league, and to see a guy like that at that age with that kind of injury on a short week, to come here and make plays on his feet like he did, that's what greatness. That's greatness right there. He's just getting started in his career, and for him to muster up everything to play this game, to lead us to a win, to do what he had to do what we had to do, hats off to Trev, man. That was big time.
Roy, 4 in a row, man. How big a deal is that?
It's a big deal. It's on to the next one now. We'll celebrate this now, rest up on the weekend, but now we got to look at Pittsburgh and get ready for a good team.
Well, that's what I love about this locker room right now. Ingram doesn't get too high. He has some loud words, what he says there. I mean, that was petty stuff to say that about Trevor Lawrence, to say that about Foye Oluokun. Absolutely loved it to hear from him, a guy who's been in the league and what it means. Roy Robertson-Harris, Foye Oluokun, Josh Allen. You're almost trying to get him excited. Stuart, you know how this goes, and they won't go there. They're like, no, just the next one. Let's go get healthy, and we'll see you in Pittsburgh. It's pretty good. They're very measured. This isn't it for them. This isn't the mountaintop yet. Neither for us as well. We'll be back 4 o'clock hour. A lot more Jags talk on ESPN 690.
Hey, if you're like most people listening to this station, you like singing to Taylor and rhyming with Tyler. You love The Weeknd and listening to him too. At Community First Credit Union, we get that. And we get you, which is why we're here to help you live your best life by providing all the financial services you need, like free checking, an easy app, and digital payments. So just be yourself. Sing along to your favorite songs and come to Community First. CommunityFirstFL.org. Member NCUA.
Car Bravo is here at Nimnick Buick GMC, a better way to shop used vehicles with transparent pricing. Nimnick Buick GMC has joined the Car Bravo family and is the only Car Bravo dealer in Northeast Florida. Hey, it's a win-win for everyone. You always win at Nimnick Buick GMC. I've always won 6 different cars purchased for our family. Terrific selection of used cars under $20,000 at Nimnick. Experience Used-Phoria with Car Bravo online at NimnickBuickGMC.com or visit the showroom off Phillips Highway. GMC, we are professional grade.
Hey, poker fans, you're in for a treat this October at Best Bet. With over $690,000 in poker promotions paid out this month, this is no time to be on the sidelines. Highlights include the $400 GoPo 400 with $40,000 guarantee at Best Bet Orange Park, the $100,000 guarantee St. Augustine Championship, and the return of the World Poker Tour $1 million guarantee at Best Bet Jacksonville. For all the details, visit bestbetjacks.com. That's bestbetjacks.com.
Brian Middleton here, and thanks to Awaken 180, I've reclaimed the gym. Now, don't get it twisted. Exercise isn't a part of losing weight with Awaken 180, but for me, it feels good to be him in the gym again, if you're tracking with me. Plus, it's 10 times easier now after dropping 36 pounds with Awaken 180. 36 pounds in just 7 weeks. Now, I still have more to go, but every week seeing that scale drop by 4 to 5 pounds, that's pure motivation. We've all heard the buzz about these new weight loss meds, right? But here's the deal. People are gaining it right back after stopping them. Why? They never learned the how of maintaining that weight. With Awaken 180, you have the same, if not faster, weight loss, but you keep it off thanks to free support for life. No back and forths, and your weight loss story has one triumphant chapter. Reserve your at-home consultation today at awaken180weightloss.com or call 844-346-1800. That's 844-346-1800.
Time to hoop it up and swoop it up with the Ospreys. Men's and women's basketball, the opening tip is almost here. UNFOspreys.com for your season tickets. Plenty of options in the beautiful UNF Arena to watch a fun brand of basketball. Season tickets, flex plans, and premium seat and suite options are available. Matthew Driscoll and the men's team always play an exciting brand of basketball. And welcome new women's coach Erica Lambert to UNF Arena. It's the busiest home slate in the D1 era. More than 30 games at UNF Arena. See one and you'll want to see more. UNFOspreys.com.
What? They did not tell me they were going to do that. I need a new bank.
Well, actually, One-to-One Financial doesn't do the usual bank surprises because we're not a bank. We're a credit union, and that means lower loan interest, things like free checking and member rewards, and of course, total investment back into our community.
I'm sold.
Find a better way to bank than big banks with 121 Financial, Jacksonville's hometown credit union. Visit 121fcu.org for more information on opening an account today.
Federally insured by NCUA.
Discover how good your water can be with the new Connecticut softener and drinking water system. Connecticut's twin tank non-electric softeners are the most efficient softeners available. We have one in our home. We absolutely love it, have had it for over 5 years. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. Right now, you can save up to $1,000 on a Connecticut K5 drinking water system when you purchase a Connecticut Premier softener. If you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and provide solutions that are right for you and your family. Imagine having clean, clear, purified water at your home. No more plastic bottles, no more waste, just great tasting, purified water that you can trust. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com, 904-552-1242 or cgcwater.com. Financing options available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm a proud customer of CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer, Florida license number CFC 1428211.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. Game 5 in the ALCS in Arlington, Texas today. That series now tied at 2 between the Rangers and Astros. Our coverage coming up at 4:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio. Then at 7:30 Eastern, Game 4 of the NLCS. Phillies leading the Diamondbacks 2-1. But ESPN's Doug Glanville says Arizona Game 3 starter Brandon Pfaadt could inspire his teammates.
This Philly team was dominant in Philadelphia, but if you execute your pitches, you can shut down an excellent and hot offense. I think that tone is set by Pfaadt and could have a chance to ripple to the rest of that pitching staff.
Doug Glanville, who calls tonight's Game 4 with John Shambi on ESPN Radio. Giants quarterback Daniel Jones has a chance to play Sunday against the Commanders. He's listed questionable with a neck injury, hasn't been cleared yet. A federal judge ruled today former Baylor football coach Art Briles was not negligent when a former Baylor student reported she was physically assaulted by a Baylor player in 2014.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Monday, while the Cowboys and the Bengals enjoy their bye, I'll tell you what they need to do better if you want me to believe in them. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
This is Freddie and Harry on ESPN Radio.
ESPN 690 and Action Sports Shacks presents Brent and Friends.
Today is one of the worst days that I've had in a long time.
We're getting a little punchy around here, people. It's been a lot in a row.
I would love to punch you guys.
Ow! It really hit me. Brent and Friends with Brent Martineau, Aaron Schachter, and Casey Kurtz. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. ESPN 690.
I credit our offensive line. Other than the scrambles where he got tackled, I think he stayed pretty clean in the pocket for the whole day.
Yeah, I think he did. And he was clean. I'm not sure he got touched even on the runs. He slid on the one. I guess he did avoid when he out of bounds when he kind of came back in and got a hand on him and got kind of semi-tackled. Then he dove to the ground. And the other two, I think he ended up out of bounds after pretty lengthy runs, if I'm not mistaken. So, hardly touched. Let's just say that. Stuart, we talked about it yesterday. We talked about it a lot this week. I mean, this had to be Mahomes against the Jags in the playoff game, and you step up for your guy, and guess what? They did it. Like, I know they want to play well each week. They had more focus, attention to detail. Obviously, they scheme a little bit about it, but they stepped up, and they said, you're not touching our guy against a good front. You know what people sleep on that front is Granderson. He's been fantastic. And obviously, Cam Jordan's Cam Jordan. That's a good defense. And I wouldn't say they had kind of neutralized it. You know, I mean, I didn't really think their front was a factor in much other than the 4th and 1 play when they stuffed the run. So mission accomplished all in all. I mean, Trevor, again, this is why I say this whole thing turns into a positive for Trevor Lawrence. 1, your offensive line plays its best game. 2, he's playing hurt and toughing it out and coming back for his guys, and that ripples through the locker room. So, I mean, this is it's like a galvanizing moment, and it might be a little bit of a shift even on the offensive line front to be like, okay, finally some confidence, right? Now they got the ball out quick. I get it. I'm not telling you it's solved. I just think it was big. It was a big moment for the Jacksonville Jaguars offensive line and the whole thing, how it all came together, the way it all played out in the end, even though it was a little bit more stressful for everybody. I think really could pay dividends in the long run for the Jags. I mean, they got a little lucky break here or there. I mean, Trevor threw almost an interception before the half. That would have been bad, would have cost 3 points. Who knows how that ends up? Foster Moreau drops the ball inexplicably, like he catches that in his sleep. And you know what? It's kind of nice that the Jags are getting some breaks here or there.
What do you mean stress? Was there any stress involved with that one? No, I mean, and I think you made a great point I saw on Twitter, just the fact that, look, these games aren't Friday and Saturday games. You're not supposed to win by 35 or 28. You know, you're not supposed to go out there and have it easy, right? I mean, it's a one-possession league where usually it's coming down to that last drive, and well, sure enough, came down to that last drive. And even when you score the touchdown, you know that your defense then has to go out there and make a stop. So the stress is good in bits. That's why they only play 17 games, right? If it was like baseball and you had 162 of these a year, you would need a lot of cardiologist checkups. You'd have to go get the ticker checked a lot more.
That is true. You know, there was another thing on social media that I saw last night, and I do think this is a little bit of fantasy football, but everybody's, where's Ridley? Where's Ridley? Where's Ridley? Like, why isn't Ridley touching the ball? And I got to believe that was...
You talk fantasy football. In our sports office alone, Olivia Tassley had Calvin Ridley on her team and was asking the exact same question. And I had Trevor Lawrence. I'm like, you know, even if he does score, it's not going to help you because I have the guy throwing it to him. But I digress.
Even fantasy, Stuart, but then there's prop bets. There's all this stuff now that impacts, like, everybody playing.
Yeah.
And so, I get that. But what I don't understand as much... And maybe I'm a little biased here. I like Jamal a lot, and I think he's had some big moments, and I know he had a couple of fumbles earlier in the year. But shouldn't we be applauding the guys like Jamal Agnew and Tim Jones for making 6 catches in that game? And Jamal had, like, the play down to the 2-yard line, almost scored a touchdown. Jamal has the punt return late. Jamal comes back after looking like he might be concussed because of the weird special teams play. Like, I feel like they're catching the strays of some on the where's Calvin Ridley front, and I really think the where's Calvin Ridley thing was pretty obvious. One, Lattimore's very good. Very good. And they shaded the side of Ridley. Doug confirmed it again today. Like, they were not true double covering all the time, but they were definitely shading that side. And so I've had so many people text me, and obviously on social media too, I just don't know if I like Agnew in there. Well, first of all, Agnew's not going to be in there all the time when Zay Jones is healthy. Which then when Agnew is in there, he's in there a lot more for like the little shovel pass play down to the 2-yard line and more of the gadget stuff, which was a good play. But my response to everybody was like, okay, so he had 6 targets. He had 4 catches, I think it was. Didn't that mean Jamal Agnew was open? I mean, like, you cannot want him to catch the ball because of your fantasy team, your prop bet, your whatever. But I'm pretty sure he was open to catch the football. Now, one of them was a shovel pass. I get it. But you see my point. And really, he was open on another time, and Trevor threw it out of bounds. It wasn't a great throw. And then the other one that was incomplete that was targeted to him was the one that was almost an interception. And, I mean, Jamal, I don't really think he did much to knock it away. They were just battling for the ball. But it's a really weird thing. I mean, did the fumbles throw everybody off that much on Jamal Agnew, those 2 fumbles in back-to-back weeks where it's just like they don't want to see 39 out there? Because I kind of flip it around. I'm like, 15 being on the field and catching the ball and making a huge play on the fake punt and the way they recognize that and everything, and Jamal making some plays. I mean, somebody's got to make plays if Zay Jones isn't going to play.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I was kind of wondering, and we talked about this yesterday on the show, are we going to see more tight end sets, right? More of these plays where you're bringing in all this extra protection. And no, I don't know if it was noticeably different than a normal game plan for them as far as bringing in that extra guy to throw on the line, which, by the way, we saw so often over this last decade when the offensive line just could not keep, whether it's Bortles or whoever, up in the back. They would have to bring in that extra guy and just make them block all day. The tight end would have to block all day, which hats off to Mercedes Lewis for doing that for years for this team because they needed him to. But I didn't see a whole lot of that. And, you are using those different wide receivers. I mean, if you're not going to use them, who are you going to use? Who are you going to put out there? You're only going to do so many of these exotic formations where you got both Bigsby and ETN in the backfield, which they did do it. You're not going to have those guys filling out the 11 men on the field all that often. So, yeah, I mean, you're going to have to put 3, sometimes 4 guys out there. And, well, if Zay Jones is not out there, you're getting to number 3 pretty quick. And there you go, Jamal Agnew, get out there. So,
I think get it. Zay Jones could easily have 4 catches in the game. I mean, Agnew had him instead. I do think there is something, I don't know exactly what it is, but I think Zay makes this offense kind of click better. And some of it might be the fact that you can then use Jamal in some of the gadgety role instead of just as the wide receiver. Now, you can do a bunch of different things. I thought the Jags had some fun stuff in the first half, and that's because it was working. I thought they got a little carried away with the behind the line of scrimmage stuff. And I think some of that was to even get Calvin Ridley involved. They wanted to get him the football, so they gave it to him. I believe it was on a reverse. It didn't really go anywhere. I'm just not a huge believer in running sideways in the NFL. It just doesn't seem to work. Running sideways in the NFL, everybody's too damn fast. But they were trying to wrinkles and stretch the field and all those things, and sometimes when it works, it's good, and when it doesn't, we criticize, I get. But I just don't understand all the criticism on the Agnew front other than it's got to be fantasy prop bet related. If they're going to take a guy away, they're going to take a guy away. You can't force it in there and
take advantage and get it to the other guys.
I guess you got to get it to the other guys. I don't think their offense sputtered because they weren't getting it to Ridley. I really don't. I think their offense sputtered because they couldn't get a yard and because they had the one penalty that made it 1st and 15 and they had to get 15 yards and they only got 14. Like, really, those are the 2 possessions that stick out to me as like, man, if they could have just picked up the first downs in both those possessions, it would have been fine. If you go back to the first half, I mean, the Kirk play that he fumbles on, which I also thought was a weird, like, effort play fumble. I mean, they picked up like 20 yards on the play or 18 yards. They were cooking into territory once again. First play of the drive. Just kind of a weird thing. So I don't know. I'm not on the same. I'm missing something here because I think you should almost be applauding the guy that you can get to Agnew and he can come up and deliver for you because he's really delivered big time in his 3 years here in Jacksonville, in my opinion, and not just in special teams. He's been able to be a part of this offense. Do you want him the focal point of the offense? No, I get it, but I don't really think he was or is at any time. We caught up with Jamal Agnew in the locker room yesterday, asked him about the usage and if he expected that going into this football game against the New Orleans Saints on Thursday night.
I mean, we came into the season just trying to start fast. I mean, that was start games fast, start the seasons fast. I feel like we're off to a pretty good start. I feel like we've left a lot on the field, too, obviously with the Chiefs game and the Houston game. But, I mean, we can't look back at that. We got a good opponent next week on the road, Pittsburgh. It's going to be a tough environment. I've actually never played at Heinz Field, so I'm actually looking forward to that. But it's going to be a tough game. So, we got this, this weekend off, which is nice. Get back healthy. We played, 3 games in, like, less than 3 weeks or something like that. So, get healthy and, shoot, we can go on a roll.
Did you expect to get your number called so much today coming into this?
I mean, with Zay down, it's just next man up. I mean, whoever's out there is going to just be in positions to make plays. And they know what I'm capable of. I just got to go out there and make plays, protect football. it's next man up. I know it's so cliche, but I mean that's just how our mentality is here.
What's the level of craziness of this league, this game, and how much you have to just weather it? What happened? I mean, this game goes back and forth 15 different ways. It felt like it.
Yeah, you can never be too high, never be too low. I mean, I learned that early on in my career in the league. You can't ride that roller coaster of emotions because if you get too high, you get too low. It's hard to get back to that, the happy medium. So, I mean, it was getting a little hairy for a second, but I mean, we knew the defense was going to make a big stop. We kind of lulled on offense, but we didn't lose confidence. We knew one of us was going to go out there and make a play. Christian made the big play. Obviously, Trevor with a good throw. Offensive line was protecting their butts off today. It was just a big team win for sure.
In the big picture, Trevor playing, battling back short week, does it mean something?
Oh, yeah. That just shows the toughness, the leadership. He wanted to be out there. He could have easily said, nah, I'm going to protect myself. Obviously, he made a smart decision. He wouldn't go out there if he didn't feel like he could play. He couldn't play. But that just shows he wants to win. We have the best chance with him winning. Or we have the best chance of winning with him out there. We have all the faith in TJ in the world. TJ's a good player. But, 16 is just different.
Yeah, it does seem to be a little different, and I think they feed off that and believe in that, and that says a lot as well. And I tweeted this the other day. Remember what people said in that SI article? I don't know if he loves the game, and it's like, man, I think that's one thing we've learned a hell of a lot about Trevor Lawrence is he loves playing football, man. He's competitive, and so much so that it mattered to him that his 2 losses in college were in New Orleans, and he wanted to get back there and win the game. I couldn't believe that was even on his radar. All the things, but it showed that's a competitor mentality. It's like, oh, man, I've won everywhere. I win in London. I win in the States. I win in high school. I win in college. I win everywhere, but I haven't won here. And it was pretty interesting. ETN, I think, was pretty vocal. But I think he tweeted about, hey, finally got a win in New Orleans, a little homecoming for him. That was pretty wild to hear that part. It did strike me like, wow, I didn't know they would be. Trevor went as far to say it was part of his motivation to coming back. He didn't want to lean on it too much, but he's like, man, I kind of really want to get into this game so I can get that off the winless streak. I just tweeted out, I think Calvin Ridley's going to have a big second half, Stuart. And it's not like a blind faith thing. I think if you look at the start of the year, many people believe, and I think everybody about believes this, they look like they were forcing it to Ridley. I think at times it's become organic. Last week, I think it was, the Buffalo game, I think maybe even more so. And it was like, okay, now that's part of the offense. You're getting Kirk involved. You're getting Ingram involved. You're getting Ridley involved. When Zay's there, you get him involved. I actually think that was the good part of yesterday. They didn't try to force it to him when it wasn't there. And I think in the first game of the year, or maybe the second game of the year, they might have tried to do that. Trevor might have tried to force it up. They really didn't. Outside of the one play, I didn't understand the one play where it was 3rd and 10, and they just dropped back and just heaved it up down the sideline for him, and he was covered pretty well. That was weird to me. I was like, what are they even trying to accomplish here? But you want to get everybody involved, and he's a fantastic player, so you got to get him involved. But I think this is going to take the form of what so much happened last year. In the second half of the season, Ingram had a huge second half of the season. Guys like Kirk and Zay Jones got more consistent in the offense in the second half of the season. ETN found his feet once he was the guy and taken over for James Robinson instead of sharing the load. Well, then he was part of the offense and in a flow. I don't really think the Calvin Ridley stuff is yet in a flow. And to be honest with you, the offense hasn't fully been in a flow. And I don't even think one has to do necessarily with the other. My point is, if Zay Jones can get healthy and they have their complement of players and what they're really trying to accomplish, I think the relationship and the nuanced stuff in the offense is going to pay off for Ridley in the second half of the year. And what is happening right now is you take a game like last night where they really put the attention on Ridley, especially with Zay Jones out. If Zay comes back in, Kirk continues to do what he's doing. ETN continues to do what he's doing. Ingram continues to do what he's doing. You know what defenses aren't going to be able to do? Is really shade the Ridley side and put too much attention on him. Because Trevor's not forcing it. He's just going to go dump it to Ingram, get it to Kirk, give it to ETN on the screenplay, get it to Zay Jones. So, I don't think they're going to be able to do that, which is going to open up Ridley to maybe have some mega games. in the second half of the year. We'll see. But I believe that's going to happen. I believe he's going to have a big November, a big December, and hopefully a big January as well. Let's get to Steven hanging on the line right now here on Brent and Friends on ESPN 690 on Friday. Jags win 31-24, 5-2. They won 4 in a row, and it's a happy weekend here in the River City. What's happening, Steven?
Hey, not too much. Watching the game last night, I was super excited. Watched the guys do their best. The defense, even though they were gassed in the fourth quarter, still making a stand. Foye doing his thing. Devin Lloyd picking up his game. I think they're one of the top linebacker duos in the NFL, in my opinion. Going to the offense, they had a great start, kind of fizzled a little in the second half. Anton Harrison is showing that he's getting to be a good tackle in the NFL, basically taking Jordan out of the game. Etienne's doing his thing. Now, to Ridley, I might have challenged that one catch he made. It looked like the front part of his foot was in bounds before his whole foot hit out of bounds. I probably would have challenged that. But otherwise, everything came together, and once we get Zay Jones, like you said, Brent, everything will kind of fill out a little more, and I'm just excited to see that.
Thanks, Steven. Enjoy the weekend, man. Appreciate you. Thanks for checking in on Brent and Friends on ESPN 690. Yeah, I think Zay makes a difference. I really do. I mean, he's a good player. He makes big-time catches. He kind of gives this team a little juice. He's a well-respected guy. And again, in the grand scheme of how the actual scheme works on offense, I'm not really sure, like, what it's missing. Like, if you took Etienne out, you'd kind of be like, okay, I get it. Like, okay, that's something can't work. If you take Ingram out, I can see why he's so valuable. Like, it's hard to take him off the field because of some of the inline blocking he can do and some of the, the routes he can run and the mismatches and the yards after the catch and just a variety of things. Not many guys in the NFL have the skill set of Ingram. I'm not sure Zay Jones sticks out to me in that way. He's a speed guy. Certainly helps. I think it's more like the presence, the savvy, the depth that he adds. And again, I'll go back to, if he's your guy that's playing on every snap or most snaps, now you can bring Agnew in a different kind of way. You can evolve the playbook even more. And so I think that's it, but I really don't know. I just have this feeling that this offense isn't fully in go mode with Zay Jones missing 4 out of 7 games this year. I think it's a bigger deal, despite all the different options you can still go to, than maybe we thought or knew or are talking about. And we'll find out, because I do think he's going to get back healthy. Now, will he play in the Pittsburgh game? Do you hold him out for one more? It's hard gauge because he didn't make the trip to New Orleans, so I didn't even see him walking around. I think he can be back for Pittsburgh, but they'll be smart with that and then decide, okay, we'll get him on the other side.
What a luxury, by the way, the mini bye game bye ends up being when you're talking about health.
Well, you said it earlier, like this sets up perfectly, but you know why it sets up perfectly is because they did the hard work right here in this 4-game stretch, and they got the wins. 4 games in 19 days, all that stuff that we mentioned. But that's why it sets up so well, Stuart, because now you got this, you can get better, healthier. You can take a look at the film. You get essentially, from a coaching staff standpoint, 2 bye weeks to really break things down and get just some of the details probably of what they want to do a little bit better. You know what else they did yesterday? They got out of Dodge with just, I think it was 17 touches for Etienne. And I think that's a big part of it, because Etienne had 23 touches against Atlanta. He had 30 touches, I think it was, against Buffalo. I think he was in like the 24 range, I want to say, against the Colts. And then he only had 17 against the Saints last night. And I was concerned about that because he leads the league in touches, but it was more the amount of touches in a small window. And I think they got away with not leaning on him too much yesterday for whatever reason. The way the game flowed, they didn't want to. Who knows? But now that will freshen him up. He's only got 1 game over the next 23 days. He comes out of that healthy. He should be good to go for the rest of it. And, man, he's good.
I guess it doesn't matter how many touches he gets. He's going to score 2 rushing touchdowns a game now. That's the new norm.
It's pretty crazy, right? I don't think he had scored a touchdown through 7 games last year.
And now he sets a record as the first Jaguar ever to score multiple touchdowns in 3 consecutive games.
Yeah, he's got 7 this year already, which is pretty incredible. I've been all over this for a long time. I just think he's so underappreciated around the league. But, I mean, this guy is really dynamic, and he's tough. And the way Bigsby's playing or really not playing, he's ultra important to this football team. Like, if you give me a guy outside of Trevor they can't lose, it's him. Like, that's the guy they can't lose. So that's why the 17 touches, keeping him in line on a pretty good pace, keeping him as fresh as possible is very important. I think they've got to either give it to Dearness Johnson a little bit more, get Bigsby going, but you just don't want to hammer ETN too much. You want to be able to use him later on in the season as well. He's been really good. He makes, like, even a 60-yard day feel important. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there is a reason that so many teams are going to these platoons and tandems in the backfield, and that's exactly it. The wear and tear on that running back position is not very comparable to many of the other positions on the field. So, yeah, you'd like to see them get Bigsby involved in more than just the occasional failed 3rd and 1 play. Get him more involved in the offense. But when ETN's playing as well as he is, you also don't want to take him off the field, right?
Well, he does feel like a guy I don't want off the field. I still think they could screen it to him. They screened like one play to him yesterday, I think it was, and it worked pretty well. Got him in the open field. In fact, I think it was he had 3 catches for 24, so that must have been a 15-yard play. So just a huge fan of ETN and what he brings to this offense. And I'll say it again. He had a total of 77 yards, and it felt big. And he's really shown the explosiveness the last couple of weeks. I mean, he can turn it up a notch. Last year, remember, it felt like it was kind of missing. There were early games in the year like, okay, wouldn't he break away? Instead, he kind of got caught. I think it was like the Indy game or something like that. And toward the end of the year, he started to get it back. And this year, he's really got the explosiveness. Really has the explosiveness back. A lot more to get into, including the defense. And we got to talk more about Foye Oluokun. If there was one player that broke out, we asked this question multiple times this week, who's going to be the guy on the national stage? It might have been Foye Oluokun. He might have earned himself a Pro Bowl nod last night, believe it or not. Talk about it when we come back. Brent and Friends on ESPN 690.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
An 8 on the WOKV weather meter. A few scattered clouds along with a brief shower into this evening, then clearing later tonight as temperatures drop into the 50s. Beautiful weekend with mostly sunny skies Saturday and Sunday. Afternoon highs between 80 and 85. From the First Alert Weather Center, I'm Action News Jax Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish for 104.5 WOKV.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beards Diamonds. Don't miss Beards' incredible buy one, get one on wedding bands now through October 31st.
Hey, this is Bruce.
And I'm Carrie.
We're the owners of Koala Insulation. It's a great time of year to invest in energy-efficient improvements to your home. With our competitive rates and new tax credits for insulation upgrades, you can get huge savings to improve your insulation today and see long-term savings every month going forward.
Give us a call and set up your free evaluation at 679-6282 or find us online at koalainsulation.com.
The future of joint pain relief is here. It's QC Kinetics, Advanced Regenerative Medicine. This is amazing stuff. Hey, everybody, it's Brent Martineau. If you've been told more steroids or surgery are your only options, well, don't be so fast. Get a second opinion and learn more about how you can harness your body's own healing agents to attack that joint pain. I'm talking lasting relief. QC Kinetics doesn't mask the pain. These treatments go to the very root of the problem using concentrated healing properties placed directly in your joint to restore and repair that damaged tissue. Imagine living your life this fall with no more pain in your knees, your hips, your shoulders, your back, with no drugs, no downtime, no surgery. Listen, life is about motion, and QC Kinetics is giving people their lives back with these all-natural treatments to keep them in motion. Call the local medical professionals and get a free consultation today, 904-274-5522, 904-274-5522. In Mandarin and Ponte Vedra, QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, 904-274-5522.
Play a little pool, watch some football, eat wings, and, of course, plenty of adult beverages. Perfect Rack Billiards is the place to be on game day and every day. Now now open for lunch at 11:30 on Friday and Saturdays. Daily specials like 75-cent Wing Wednesday, $3 Draft Thursday, and $3 Seltzer Saturday. Pool, darts, shuffleboard in a fun, clean atmosphere at Perfect Rack Billiards. It's your Jags game day headquarters. 10 wings and a pitcher for $20 and a free shot with every Jags touchdown. It's up to the Jags to score. It's up to you to have fun at Perfect Rack Billiards in Jacksonville.
Have you seen your financial freedom wiped out by stock market volatility? It's Rich Jones. Consider investing in real estate funds from DLP Capital. Don Winter is CEO and founder.
DLP Capital has provided our investors with consistent double-digit returns by investing in cash-flowing residential real estate. For more than a decade, we have had zero losses, little volatility, and have shot above our return targets in all of our investment funds. Plus, we offer monthly distributions and tax shelter opportunities.
To get your investor's guide and learn more, dial **invest on your cell phone or visit highyieldreturns.net.
Discover how good your water can be with the new Connecticut softener and drinking water system. Connecticut's Twin Tank non-electric softeners are the most efficient softeners available. We have one in our home. We absolutely love it, have had it for over 5 years. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. Right now, you can save up to $1,000 on a Connecticut K5 drinking water system when you purchase a Connecticut Premier Softener. If you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and provide solutions that are right for you and your family. Imagine having clean, clear, purified water at your home. No more plastic bottles, no more waste, just great tasting, purified water that you can trust. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com, 904-552-1242 or cgcwater.com. Financing options available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm a proud customer of CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer, Florida license number CFC 1428211.
And we're live here outside the Perez family home, just waiting for the... And there they go, almost on time this morning. Mom is coming out the front door strong with a double-arm kid carry. Looks like Dad has the bags. Daughter is bringing up the rear. Oh, but the diaper bag wasn't closed. Diapers and toys are everywhere. Ooh, but Mom has just nailed the perfect car seat buckle for the toddler. And now the eldest daughter, who looks to be about 9 or 10, has secured herself in the booster seat. Dad zips the bag closed, and they're off. But looks like Mom doesn't realize her coffee cup is still on the roof of the car. And there it goes. Oh, that's a shame. That mug was a fam favorite.
Don't sweat the small stuff. Just nail the big stuff. Like making sure your kids are buckled correctly in the right seat for their age and size. Learn more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Visit nhtsa.gov/the
right seat. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Hey, it's Brent Martineau from Action Sports Jacks. Did you know you can watch our radio show? Yeah, video of a radio show. Just search ESPN 690 Jacks on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, or follow me on Twitter at Brent A.S. Jacks. Watch the show live weekdays from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. or listen on ESPN 690.
But hats off to Foye, man. He comes and he brings it every game. And, man, he's a good leader out there on the field, and he's a good person to play behind.
4 in a row. You think everybody now knows about the Jaguars?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we did it on prime time, so they better know.
That's very Sean Jenkins. Man, you love getting those guys coming off the field. And you know who the most hyped player coming off the field? And I feel like he's really coming into his own now. And this is the guy that I thought we might see coming out of Utah when you saw him in Vegas at the draft. And that's Devin Lloyd. Doesn't he kind of feel like the player all of a sudden that everybody saw at Utah and that kind of brought that energy? Coming off the field yesterday, he was hyped, man. I mean, he was another one that was just so complimentary of Foye Oluokun. But I think Lloyd's playing at a high level right now.
I really like, by the way, in the latest Baldy breakdown, just talking about how he and Foye formed that tandem. And if you don't already follow Brian Baldinger on Twitter, you're doing a great disservice to yourself, because his videos and, you know, even being low tech, I think that's part of the charm, right? The fact that he just points his cell phone, at a video screen and talks underneath it. I mean,
I know. Very simplistic, right?
That low tech approach to it and just breaking down the plays and what he's seeing is very cool and insightful every week. And he did a nice piece about Devin and Foye, the way they work kind of as a tandem and play off of each other, which you need to do in that defense. So Very cool to see Devin growing into his role. And look, this hasn't been an easy year for him, right? You're talking about a year where he missed time with an injury and then had to work his way back into that lineup and get past Chad Muma. And he has played well these last couple games.
Yeah, he missed the time with the thumb. But I think he also is a guy that didn't have to play in the London games and make the trip. And you're feeling the energy that he has by probably missing those 2 games. He's been either right around or right at double-digit tackles the last 2 weeks. I mean, he is really blossoming, it looks like, right in front of us. And to go along with a guy who's a stud. I mean, Foye Oluokun is such a good player. You know, the only thing missing about Oluokun was the play that we got last night. He's not the splash play guy, and that's why people – this is what I say about Kirk. See, guys like Kirk and Oluokun are in our world today where you got to have a highlight, you got to have a one-hand play, you got to be scoring, you got to be celebrating, you got to be talking about yourself, whatever. These two are just the opposite of that. They bring it every play, every game. They're steady, consistent. The coaches love them. The players love them. They lead. They do what they're supposed to do. They do your job very well, but they aren't the flashiest. You're not going to see one-handed catches from Kirk. You're not going to see, like, we haven't seen a ton of like explosive plays until like last night. And then both these guys are on the biggest stage and they both deliver in a flashy way. And I was like, wow, that's pretty ironic. Oluokun's the ultimate of that. For some reason, you can lead the NFL in like every category and people love you, but tackles doesn't matter. It's a weird deal. I think in some respects because it's narrowed down to almost a certain position.
Well, and it's predicated on the fact that the other team is running a lot of plays on you.
Well, it is, but there's still going to be a certain amount of plays in a game.
Like they ran 90 plays yesterday. Of course, we were going to have like 70 or 80 tackles as the Jaguars in that game.
That's fair. That's a decent thing to break out the microscope yesterday. But on average, most teams are still about 65, 70 plays, and Foye Oluokun in Atlanta, Foye Oluokun here, and then the Baldinger
what you said
stuff.
About it being the position, I think, is the spot-on part, right? As a middle linebacker, you should be the guy generally leading the tackles. Now, if your defensive line was making all the tackles, that'd be even better because that means the opposing offense isn't getting the ball into your second level. And if your secondary is leading the team in tackles, look out. That's not good. I remember many a game over the last decade with the Jags where it's like, and this cornerback led the team in tackles. And it's like, oh, that's bad. That means they got 15 on every play.
Yeah, you don't want that. And Rashawn Jenkins said that to us last week. He's like, this is a dream. You don't have to come 20 yards down the field to make a tackle. Like, these guys are really good in front of us. But what Oluokun was awesome in coverage yesterday against Olave. And then obviously he comes up with the pick, and Darius Williams makes another hell of a play. He's been playing really good. Lloyd last week had his hands on 3 footballs. Of course, he had just had the thumb problem, so catching them was more of an issue. But I don't know where they rank. Like, I don't even know what somebody would put out there as the best tandem in the league. And I'm not telling you the Jags are there. But what I am telling you is, like, Foye Oluokun is probably in the conversation for best linebacker in the league. But nobody knows it, and nobody has the conversation. After last night, I think they're having the conversation. Like, Oluokun doesn't love the spotlight. You can tell. He's just a pro's pro, and he's not that concerned about it. But deep down, everybody wants their shine. Everybody wants to be respected. And I think last night was the night for Oluokun. I think people noticed it. He was when you're breaking up passes downfield against a good receiver like Chris Olave at the linebacker, people notice it. When you're stuffing Alvin Kamara along with Dewey on a goal line, people notice it. When you're sure tackling and stonewalling Kamara in the open field, people notice it. And people really notice when you turn on the jets and find the lane for the end zone and get a pick 6. Like, if he goes out at the 2, not as many people notice it. But if he gets in the end zone, people remember it. And it was a huge play in the game. So this guy gets paid like he's one of the best linebackers in the game. People don't talk about him like he's one of the best linebackers in the game, but he is. And I think last night was a breakthrough moment for him to the point where I believe this guy's been a Pro Bowl player to begin with. I think you're going to see a lot of Pro Bowl love coming down the line for Foye Oluokun now. And we'll see. We'll see if I'm right. The other thing is if you I say this a bunch of times because we talk to the players a lot. And sometimes you listen to the way players answer questions. And then sometimes you watch their faces while they're answering the question or while they're digesting the question. And when I bring up Foye Oluokun's name yesterday in the locker room, Trevor, Ingram, Josh Allen, all these guys, the reaction they have on their face is like, this dude is on some other planet, man. And the one thing they say about Oluokun is that he is the Energizer Bunny. He downplays it. But people said this last year about him. He's like, we don't even know if he sweats out there. He's still playing with the same level of energy and intensity on play 70 as he is on play 20. And that's not a common thing in the NFL. You'd think it might be, but it's not. And Oluokun does that. And so the respect he has in the locker room and what they've really put him on a pedestal this year is the leadership that he portrays in that locker room and what he's done with a very young group. Again, some of this development for Devin Lloyd and Chad Muma has been fine as well. I think you got to give him credit. Oluokun was a little out of sorts, I think, by his own standards early last year because he hadn't had to worry about those guys. Well, they've settled in. He's trusting them. They're developing, and he's a star. I mean, I think Foye Oluokun is a flat-out star, blue-chip kind of player that just doesn't get his due. And if you don't take my word for it, listen to Devin Lloyd coming off the field after the game. He was jacked up. And then listen to the part when I ask him about Foye.
Hey, a little extra emotion coming off the field for you guys in this one, it seems like.
Man, I mean, the guys just hung in there, balled out. Everybody balled it. Everybody was just on the same page, and I'm just glad we got to sneak out here with a win.
It's hard to win in the NFL, isn't it? That one was a perfect illustration of it, up 24-9 and still had to fight to the end.
Yeah, but, our motto was gritty, not pretty. At the end of the day, as long as we find a way, everybody made plays when they needed to. Hell of a play by Buster at the end. Coming in, starting this first game, it made a big-time play for our team, man. I love my guys, man. That was a great win.
Speaking of your guy, how about Foye getting the pick six? He's been so good ever since you walked into this league.
Put some respect on his name. Everybody watching this. One of the best backers in the league, and he showed it today in front of the nation, man. Primetime football made a huge play for our team.
Wow, there you go. I mean, again, that was echoed throughout. I think you heard Evan Ingram earlier talking about Foye Oluokun, said he's the best to do it. But he said his leadership is even better than his play. And Ingram was all world on the Foye Oluokun front. I really love the energy, though, of Lloyd. Lloyd, you can tell with that kind of energy, he's playing with confidence. And that's a guy that has taken a little bit to find the confidence. To your point earlier, Stuart, whether it's injury or just some struggles last year. But he's playing with it now. I think he's that guy. And in many respects, I think Lloyd is doing what people hope Trayvon Walker would do in terms of taking that next giant step. I think we're watching Lloyd take that step. A little frustration right now in Jacksonville and beyond that Trayvon Walker isn't Aiden Hutchinson. But bigger than that, like Trayvon Walker, he was probably the one guy that you didn't really notice yesterday. And I don't know why that is. I'm a defender of Walker. I think he's a better player than people are probably saying. I think he probably does more than people are noticing. But it wasn't it last night, and I don't know why. Is that because as a young player, he didn't have much juice as a third game in 12 days? Is that a taking care of your body thing? Is something bothering him that we don't know? Sometimes you just never know. Or did he just not play great? But he was playing against a backup to even some would say a third-string right tackle and didn't make noise. And on the other side of it, Josh Allen was awesome again. So I don't know. I think some of the concern sometimes in the fan base about the pass rush, I just did this last week, is a little much. I'm not like red flag panicked about Trayvon Walker after last night. I'm just telling you, even for a guy that I can see he's doing some things, drawing holding calls, the pressure, some QB hits around the ball, stopping the run. Like, you can make the case he's doing that a lot. I wasn't sure he did a whole lot yesterday. It was a very quiet game for Trayvon Walker, and so we'll have to keep an eye on that, see if he gets his legs maybe back, if that was part of it, next week against Pittsburgh. I'm waiting for the dominant Trayvon Walker game. And I think we all are. We just have not seen it. I think it would go a long way in settling the whole thing down around Trayvon Walker. But as of now, it's not going to stop. In fact, I'm getting texts today, trade Walker for Brian Burns. Jags aren't doing it. They're not trading him. But you might need to go get Brian Burns or Danielle Hunter or others to help complement the pass rush and Josh Allen. We'll be back, Brent and Friends, on ESPN 690. From selling out of the back of a car to one of the biggest outfitters in the Southeast, Baker Sports is quite the story. And on a daily basis, they are helping you write your story with a high school name or sports team across a uniform and so much more. And now it's a one-stop shop with Baker Sports, carrying Nike, Adidas, and Under Armour. They already make you look good, and now they can help you look better than ever. Baker Sports, custom sports apparel since 1997. Shop with the hometown team, and it's easy to do at bakersport.com.
Advisory services through Talon Private Wealth and SEC registered investment advisor or license D056341.
If you're retired or close to it, you're being bombarded with lots of information, some of it good, some of it bad, but you have to know the potential roadblocks moving forward. My name's Mike Lester. I'm holding a free webinar, What's It Like to Retire, Take That Money, Live Off of It for the rest of your life, and How Do You Need to Be Invested?
Reserve your spot for October 26th at 3 p.m. Eastern. GuardingYourNestEgg.com.
This event is completely free. Register now.
GuardingYourNestEgg.com.
Get into the game at Best Bet. Come enjoy the best in-card games, hospitality, and fun at Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park. You don't have to be a poker pro to have a great time. Featuring poker games of all limits and easy-to-learn games like Ultimate Texas Hold'em and Pai Gow. Wager on exciting simulcast races and enjoy delicious food and drink. Our card rooms are open Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 4 a.m. and 24 hours on Saturday and Sunday. Details at bestbetjacks.com. That's bestbetjacks.com.
This is Ortho Health Insights, tips for life in motion, brought to you by the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute. You are never too old or too young to begin improving your orthopedic health. We count on our knees for everything, from walking to working out and playing sports. Knee pain can be the result of aging, arthritis, athletic activities, and injuries. Obesity is also a factor for knee pain due to the increased stress placed on the joint and can aggravate the symptoms of osteoarthritis. However, exercise and weight loss can delay symptoms related to osteoarthritis. Being physically active boosts the health of cartilage tissue. People with joint pain can benefit from activities such as water aerobics, which puts less stress on the knee. The orthopedic physicians at JOI are experienced in diagnosing the cause and treating your pain. Whether you need a course of physical therapy or surgery, JOI can help. Call 904-JOI-2000. That's 904-JOI-2000. Or to learn more, go to JOI.net. JOI is the official sports medicine provider for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hello out there, all you hard workers. It's me, Pete the Job Guy.
And Angie, the boss.
And together we run Ascendo Resources, the best staffing agency in Jacksonville, Florida.
That's right, folks. We can help you with accounting, finance, technology, administrative, anything you need, we can help on a temporary, temp to hire, and permanent basis. So call the true professionals today at 904-663-2654 because you deserve it.
Jacksonville is a great place to live. And if you love where you live, you should invest in it. That's why more and more people bank with One-to-One Financial, Jacksonville's hometown credit union. We invest every penny back into North Florida, backing the very best small businesses, nonprofits, and of course, the family home. Why put your money with some big out-of-state bank when you can invest in where you love to live? One-to-One Financial. We're your hometown credit union. Sign up today at one-to-one-fcu.org. Federally insured by NCUA.
O'Reilly. Protect your vehicle's engine with Syntec and O'Reilly Auto Parts. Syntec Premium Full Synthetic Motor Oil is formulated for today's engines to dissipate heat and friction and reduce wear. Get 5 quarts of Syntec Full Synthetic and a MicroGuard Select filter for just $33.99. Limits apply. See store for details. Get Syntec only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Brent and Friends is sponsored by Best Bet, now open in St. Augustine.
Action Sports Jacks. Watch, listen, subscribe. You can watch us on CBS 47 and Fox 30. You can listen right here on ESPN 690, and you can subscribe to our YouTube and podcast, Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. Action Sports Jacks. Watch, listen, subscribe.
feel like I'm getting back into it. You know, it takes time. You know, just trying to get back into the rhythm of it all. But I mean, I feel like every week that I'm playing, I'm getting better and better.
That is DeJuan Smoot. He comes up with a sack late in the first half. Always nice to see. He played a lot of snaps again. They kicked him inside a bunch. On the field with Josh Allen, Trayvon Walker, and adding to the depth. You know, I just mentioned Trayvon again, and I am not nearly down on Trayvon like it seems like the rest of the fan base has been, everything else. I think the guy's a talented player. I don't know why he's not yet a dominant player. I don't know if that means he's not going to be. I've kind of had a history around here of not giving up on guys as quickly as everybody else does.
Smoot being a terrific example, by the way, of a guy who's developed, though clearly not coming in as the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, and I was trying to do, everybody's talking about Danielle Hunter, and I was like, okay, did Hunter burst on the scene? And so I looked back at some of his stuff, and Hunter actually, he was pretty good. It was 6 sacks in his rookie year, and then he jumped up, I want to say, to 12.5, and then he had 7 only in his, I think, third year. I think that's the way it went. So his first 3 years, but still, that's a pretty big number, right? I mean, that's 18.5 and 25. It's 25 sacks in 3 years. Trayvon is at 6 sacks during his first 24 games. And I do think what's-his-name played every game, so Hunter. So if you project it out, it's 48 games for Hunter, 25 sacks. What did I just say? 6 sacks in 24 games. So he'd get to 12 instead. So it's not even close. So, it's no comparison because I feel like Hunter then hit another level. He's 14.5 and 14.5, and now he's an automatic double-digit guy, and he leads the league in sacks. So I do think there's an element of growth from that position. I think we're seeing it from Josh Allen. Josh Allen, the last few years, wasn't the guy everybody wanted him to be. But he was still right around there, and now here we see him exploding, and I think everybody could see last night. The numbers on him last night were terrific, although he didn't end up with a sack. He didn't have a sack, but he was all over the place. Now, he's working against the backup left tackle. Hey, he did what you're supposed to do. And I think that's a problem a little bit with Trayvon. I was okay, can you flash? And I'm telling you, I said it before the break, can he have the dominant game? And he just hasn't had the dominant game yet for the Jaguars. And I think if he just would have one, I think people would get really excited about it. There's a story from Rick Spielman and the 33rd team on why the Jags should really go after Danielle Hunter, and they could benefit the most from his usage. And Spielman's a guy who drafted Danielle Hunter, and he talks about cap space, everything else. Maybe we'll break it down a little bit more next week. But you got to believe this is very much in play for the Jags to get help. They can't just sit here when the window is right there, man. The window is right there. If they can make something work and upgrade, not just Trayvon, the whole defense, the whole line, help Josh Allen even more, it makes a lot of sense if you can make that happen. And there are some hurdles, even with the dollars and everything else. But if you can do it, it would make a lot of sense on a lot of fronts. Hey, Cam Robinson is back 3 games in a row now for him. He settles in. The offensive line was fantastic. We had a chance to catch up with Cam Robinson after the game in New Orleans as the Jags won their 4th straight. 4 in a row, man. That's tough to do around here, isn't it? You've been around here a long time. That hasn't happened too much in this locker room.
Yeah. This locker room is different. The guys we got in this locker room, the people, the coaches we got, the front office people we got, the team is different. I mentioned earlier, I've been here for a long time. I mentioned earlier, these are the games in the past that we might have let slip or we might have let get away or we might have not finished the way we're supposed to. So the game was far from perfect, and they got to have a situation. We call it got to have a situations. We got it.
How well did you guys play, and how much more focused, detailed, everything else were you because of Trevor labored a little bit coming in?
I think we just knew what we were up against. We planned to come out and play our best, whether it was Trevor or whether it was CJ. Obviously, when we see Trevor out there, we know he may be a little limited mobility. Well, he had a couple good runs, but we see he may be a little limited mobility-wise in what he can do. But So we knew we knew the challenges that we were up against, but I think we did a pretty good job of handling them.
What's it mean in the big picture for him to battle back short week? I mean, other guys do it too. I mean, Brandon did it, but does it mean something for the leader, the quarterback?
He's our guy. He's our leader. He's our captain. He's our guy, man. Where he goes, we follow. He's a soldier, so we're right there with him.
How are you settling in now? 3 games in, you feeling like you're getting into a rhythm?
I'm settled in. I'm fine.
Answer right there from Cam Robinson. He's like, I'm good. And you know what? I see that. Yeah, he got off to a little sluggish start against Buffalo, but I think he's been pretty good. And I think they can run on that left side. When they go those big packages, I think they've had some success out there. They're going to get even better, I think, on the offensive line when they get Walker a little back. And Tyler Shatley's doing a fine job, but I think they'll get even better. You know, we just go back and forth on this. We did this last night in Countdown to Kickoff, Stuart, and where can you upgrade? Like, this is a good football team. We asked earlier in the show, how good a football team? I think it's a pretty good football team, but it's nowhere near its ceiling. And in part, okay, you might have to go add a player to get where you want to go on the defensive front, we think. Now, Devon Hamilton will help boost it. More from Smoot will help continue that. But if you want to really be more dynamic in the pass rush game, unless a light bulb really flips into a different level for Trayvon, then you might need to go get somebody. See, I think the offensive line is going to settle in here. Cam, Walker or Shatley, Fortner, Sheriff, now that he's not out. Like, that's a big thing that he was able to play. And Anton Harrison's been playing some pretty good football. We even mentioned Anton Harrison's name in the last couple of weeks. That's a good sign.
We like that. We don't want to be mentioning the rookie offensive lineman.
So, like, those are the 2 areas. The trenches are where I feel like the upgrades could potentially be at for this football team in elevating play. I think the offensive line, it's got what they need. I think they're going to start incrementally getting better and better as this year goes along. Defensively on the front, they're good in spots. To get really good, they might have to go make a move. Football at 5 on the way. We'll talk some high school football, but we'll stay with the Jags as well. Coming up on ESPN 690.
Time to hoop it up and swoop it up with the Ospreys. Men's and women's basketball, the opening tip is almost here. UNFospreys.com for your season tickets. Plenty of options in the beautiful UNF Arena to watch a fun brand of basketball. Season tickets, flex plans, and premium seat and suite options are available. Matthew Driscoll and the men's team always play an exciting brand of basketball. And welcome new women's coach Erica Lambert to UNF Arena. It's the busiest home slate in the D1 era. More than 30 games at UNF Arena. See one and you'll want to see more. UNFospreys.com. The future of joint pain relief is here. It's QC Kinetics, advanced regenerative medicine. This is amazing stuff. Hey, everybody, it's Brent Martineau. If you've been told more steroids or surgery are your only options, well, don't be so fast. Get a second opinion and learn more about how you can harness your body's own healing agents to attack that joint pain. I'm talking lasting relief. QC Kinetics doesn't mask the pain. These treatments go to the very root of the problem using concentrated healing properties placed directly in your joint to restore and repair that damaged tissue. Imagine living your life this fall with no more pain in your knees, your hips, your shoulders, your back, with no drugs, no downtime, no surgery. Listen, life is about motion, and QC Kinetics is giving people their lives back with these all-natural treatments to keep them in motion. Call the local medical professionals and get a free consultation today, 904-274-5522, 904-274-5522. In Mandarin and Ponte Vedra, QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, 904-274-5522.
As the seasons change, one thing remains the same. Jacksonville and all of Northeast Florida are fueled by Celsius Essential Energy Drinks. If you spot ESPN 690 anywhere in the community, come hang with us and grab an ice-cold Celsius.
Koala Insulation.
Hey, this is Bruce.
And I'm Carrie.
We're the owners of Koala Insulation. It's a great time of year to invest in energy-efficient improvements to your home. With our competitive rates and new tax credits for insulation upgrades, you can get huge savings to improve your insulation today and see long-term savings every month going forward.
Give us a call and set up your free evaluation at 679-6282 or find us online at koalainsulation.com.
Car Bravo is here at Nimnick Buick GMC, a better way to shop used vehicles with transparent pricing. Nimnick Buick GMC has joined the Car Bravo family and is the only Car Bravo dealer in Northeast Florida. Hey, it's a win-win for everyone. You always win at Nimnick Buick GMC. I've always won 6 different cars purchased for our family. Terrific selection of used cars under $20,000 at Nimnick. Experience Euphoria with Car Bravo online at nimnickbuickgmc.com or visit the showroom off Phillips Highway. GMC, we are professional grade.
Rich Jones here. Investing can be more about just filling a bank account. It's about having a secure retirement, protecting your family. Let DLP Capital help you to protect your why. Here's CEO and founder Don Wenner.
I started DLP Capital with an expectation that I could provide my family, my investors, my team members, and the families of my investors with awesome returns, limited volatility, and no losses, all while providing desperately needed affordable housing to the American workforce.
To get your investor's guide and learn more, dial ** invest on your cell phone or visit highyieldreturns.net.
Shop the Beaches Green Market this and every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Penman Park on Penman Road for fresh local fruits and vegetables, plants, meats, eggs, baked goods, honey, wellness products, and so much more. EBT cards welcome. Diglocal.org for more info.
At the Home Depot, Saturdays are about 2 things. The one-of-a-kind wood-fired flavor of a Traeger Ironwood XL grill. And football. That's right, Desmond Howard. Get fired up for the game in just a tap with Traeger's intuitive touchscreen. Then throw on your favorites and monitor the grill from anywhere with Wi-Fi technology. So you spend less time staring at the grill, which means more time for football. Upgrade your Saturday with Traeger and the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Loki has returned in an all-new season on Disney+.
Reunited. That's right.
The countdown is over.
I've been waiting.
Don't miss the return of Marvel's most watched Disney+ show.
Loki. A little over the top, don't you think? I thought it was spot on.
His time is running out.
You better run!
Marvel Studios' Loki Season 2. New episodes now streaming only on Disney+.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. Baseball playoff action on ESPN Radio. Coverage of Game 5 in the ALCS now underway. The Rangers and Astros series now tied at 2. At 7:30 Eastern, Game 4 of the NLCS. The Phillies lead 2-1, but the Diamondbacks are coming off a walk-off win thanks to Ketel Marte. Arizona manager Torey Lovullo.
He is one of our best players for a reason, and I thought the key to that inning was Perdomo walking and handing it off to Ketel. But Ketel thrives in that situation. He just has the heart of a lion. He wants to get the job done and be the main guy to help his team win a baseball game.
Torey Lovullo. 4-time NBA champ Andre Iguodala tells Anscape he's retiring after a 19-year career. Iguodala played with 4 teams but won all 4 of his titles with the Warriors. The 76ers play their last preseason game tonight. James Harden will not play. He's away from the team, unhappy he hasn't been traded. Bears quarterback Justin Fields out for Sunday against the Raiders.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Monday, while the Cowboys and the Bengals enjoy their bye, I'll tell you what they need to do better if you want me to believe in them. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
ESPN 690 and Action Sports Shacks presents Brent and Friends.
Today is one of the worst days that I've had in a long time.
We're getting a little punchy around here, people. It's been a lot in a row.
I would love to punch you guys.
Ow! It really hit me.
Brent and Friends with Brent Martineau, Aaron Schachter, and Casey Kurtz. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. ESPN 690.
I'll take us through the last play. What do you see?
They kept running the same play, the same phase, so, I had to stop it.
That's Monteric Brown, Buster Brown, with a big play. He had 2 big plays. Don't just think it was that one. People talking about Buster Brown like, oh, no. And last week he got picked on a little bit, and he's going to be a young player. They're going to go his way. Gave up a touchdown, which I thought was a pretty contested touchdown. But he made a play earlier in the game, forced a field goal, and that was in the end zone, and then does it again. And seemed to be a little bit of a homework play for him, too, that kind of knew what Derek Carr was going to do in that situation. After Foster Moreau dropped the ball on 3rd down. So pretty cool moment for Buster Brown, as I mentioned on social media, and I think he even said today, they were very happy for that young man. I mean, thrown into that situation, they know you lose a lot with Tyson Campbell, no doubt about it, but they helped him out, and he helped himself out. He helped the team out. I really thought the depth showed up, and that's a cool thing for the Jags. I mean, they tried to build depth on this roster in the offseason. And if you look at what happened in these last couple of weeks, you saw more offensive linemen having to play, and we know that continues to show up between Walker Little. Even a guy like Blake Hance has been able to step in. Tyler Shatley continues to do it year after year after year when asked to do step in at multiple positions. We're seeing the Jamal Agnews and Tim Jones have to step into the Zay Jones role. On defense, Gotts has had to step in for Devon Hamilton, and a guy like Angelo Blackson has played and done some good things. Linebacker spot, Chad Muma had to step in for Devin Lloyd for a couple weeks. Thought it was pretty good. And then in the back end, first of all, Trey Herndon's played terrific. Darius Williams has played terrific. Tyson was playing very well. Monteric Brown steps in for him. Andre Sisco's playing some of the best safety in the National Football League. Rayshon Jenkins playing well. Sisco goes out, misses about the last 20 minutes or so of that game, and Dewey Wingard does his thing. Big goal line stuff, along with Oluokun on Kamara. Some of the stats on the goal line for the Saints was pretty wild. I mean, they ran I think it was 10 plays and 0 for 6 for Carr. And no play went for more than a yard down near the goal line. Jags defense getting it done. If not for 4th down, this would have been a blowout. It's 4 of 6 on 4th downs for the New Orleans Saints. Brent Martineau along with Stuart Webber here on a Friday. Brent and Friends on ESPN 690, diagnosing the latest Jaguars win. 4 in a row, 5-2 now on the season. First place, they continue in the AFC South. And you know what? After this weekend, they could be tied with the best record, really in the National Football League, depending on what happens, but definitely in the AFC, with the Chargers going to Kansas City and the Dolphins playing the Eagles. So I guess they couldn't be tied with the National Football League lead because one of those teams is going to go to 6-1. But the Jags are right there. Right there. Don't feel like they've played their best ball. They've got way more upside on offense. Have played excellent on defense overall. So, I mean, can they continue that? I guess is the big question. But it certainly looks like they're going to be able to. And they get Devon Hamilton back. They're going to get Tyson Campbell back. Do they make a move on that end? And Josh Allen is playing really good football. Even when it doesn't show up as a sack game or a 3-sack game or whatever sack game, he is making an impact on the football game. Josh Allen, I think they said, had 11 pressures. I think someone else might have said 10. His win rate was crazy. If you like the PFF grades, it was really good. He was all over the backfield and oh so close. I mean, how many of them? Did it jump off on TV as much as it did in person? I thought there were about 5 occasions that he was getting ready to have a sack forced fumble on Derek Carr from the blind side, and somehow Carr either got rid of the ball or he just escaped it in a Houdini way, Stuart.
Maybe not that many from a TV perspective. They do a good job of following that ball and keeping you moving. But there was definitely quite a few where you're just like, oh, he's going to get him this time. He's going to get him. And then he didn't get him. But yeah, the win rate and the pressures, you could definitely see Carr was affected by what he was doing. And while statistically affected isn't a stat out there, it certainly made a difference in the game.
Well, it's funny you say that because I actually said to Josh, I was like, man, you were close a bunch of times or you almost got, he's like, almost doesn't count, right? And And it was interesting to hear him say that because somebody on social media said, yeah, well, almost doesn't count. And I said, well, actually it does. Because what almost does is it speeds up the clock of the quarterback. And you're making the quarterback uncomfortable. And you're hitting the quarterback. And there was no doubt the presence was felt from Josh Allen, especially since they were playing backup tackles. And Derek Carr knew about it. So that's where I just disagree with people. I mean, he made an impact on that football game. He forced them to throw some early, throw it high, throw it low, throw it wide, throw it whatever. And he almost made like a game-clinching play on 2 or 3 occasions. You know, I told people today, if you go back and look at the second down play on the last 4 plays near the goal line where the Jags eventually get stopped to win the game, go look at the second down play. And Josh Allen, that would have been like play 85 of the game. He didn't play all of them, but it would have been play 85. He goes like flying through the air it's like Superman pose. Looks like Bobby Orr on the goal. And just, I don't know how Carr got away from it. He just like sidestepped it, but he was so close to getting it. That was the effort and all that. I did when I talked to Josh, he said, every time I got up from hitting Derek Carr, I made sure I grabbed his arm and kind of helped him up or walked him back, and just to make sure he knew that I was nearby. It's an interesting mind game from Josh Allen. Be like, hey, I might not have got the sack, but I'm here, right? It was one of those type of deals. Pretty fun stuff from Josh Allen. Had a chance to catch up with him after the win in New Orleans. Well, hey, man, 4 in a row, 3 in 12 days. I guess mission accomplished.
This phase for now. Definitely this phase is not completed. We still got a little ways to go. So now the real test is how we manage time off. How do we come back Monday ready to play after 4 days? 4 days. So that's the big testament for us is how we're going to respond to that. But it feels good to be 4-0 after this week. We got to continue to go. We're not done yet. We got a big game, Pittsburgh, next week, and we got to get ready for that.
I felt like you might go blow them out, then they come back. Felt like you might lose it at the end. I mean, how are you guys finding ways to win these kind of games?
I mean, I think it just goes back to last year. When we went on that stretch, it was find a way to win. And so finding a way to win, knowing that it might not be pretty, but play to the court, play to 0-0-0, hit the clock. So, we found a way to win. And obviously, our playmakers made plays. You start off with Jamal, and then you have Foye. It's just like everything, just players making plays, individual efforts, going out there. Christian Kirk, holy crap. You know what I'm saying? That's an individual play against 11 guys, but he wanted it more. But we need plays like that every week, and I think we expect it from everybody. It's not like, oh, it's a surprise. We expect that to happen now, so we can continue to grow, and we'll be one team to mess with.
Speaking of, how cool is it for a young player like Monteric Brown to come up big in that spot?
Man, that was huge. I've been telling them all week that we got it. We got you. You know what I mean? Like, stay calm, stay cool, stay collected. Allow us to take the pressure off of you. So with that being said, we had to handle business up front. We had to affect the passer. We had to make sure to speed up his timing. So it's not really putting more pressure on him. And then for him to stay consistent all 4 quarters and then come down to the last play of the game, try him at the last play of the game, and him staying tall is a huge play.
Lastly, where are you guys right now, and where's the ceiling of this football team?
I don't know. I don't have an answer for you on that one. We're just gonna have to take it week by week, and it's like I said earlier, it starts with preparation. How well are we preparing each week for our opponent? How well am I preparing myself for my individual matchup? How well is Foley going to prepare for his individual matchups? And it starts right there. So we have a good game plan about how we're going to attack the game, and then we go into meetings, and now we get the installs, and now we get the, okay, I can do this to that, I can do this to that. That's where it starts. And we've been doing a hell of a job with understanding the game plan and executing. There's obviously, I think we can still take a lot from this game and really build on it. But, overall, like I said, it starts with preparation. And we just got to keep finding a way to win.
Enjoy the weekend, man.
Appreciate you.
That is Josh Allen. You know, I can't get Josh to get too excited about anything in postgame. I feel like I talk to him every week or even during the week or wherever we see him. Right off the field, where guys are most excited. Last week coming off the field against the Colts, we had him. And he just won't get all the way. He won't get there. And I'm saying this as a compliment. And I said this earlier about guys like Oluokun. I tweeted earlier, Trevor's like this. Trevor's a lot like this. It's like, hey, that's fine. We're supposed to be doing this. And we're not done yet type of feel. Like there's that feeling. And I almost want to say to Josh, I'm like, Josh, man, enjoy it, dude. Like you're making big plays. Like you're playing really well. You got the win. It's okay to enjoy it. And then 24 hours, you can shut it back down and start focusing again. But he won't even go there, man. He is that. I have never seen Josh Allen as locked in as he is. And he's always been a mature player. He learned from one of the best in Calais Campbell, and he was mature coming into the league, in my opinion. So he's been a good pro. But this is a different level, Stuart. Like he won't get past it. I don't know how much of this is what he's experienced in the past. How much is just the hunger to get to the finish line, which is way down the road? How much is the hunger to finish off a really good year and a contract year and earn as much as possible? All of that colliding together. But he and Foye especially, I noticed, just don't allow themselves to celebrate the moment too much. Rayshon Jenkins has a little bit of this, but you can get him doing it off the field. Then you get him like 10 minutes later, and he's like, boom, back down. I'm not doing that anymore. It's an interesting thing to watch these guys in that realm.
And look, I get it. I mean, you know, we churn out quality show after quality show on Action Sports Jacks, and we just stay level. You know, we know there's a lot more ahead of us, and we managed to keep the emotions at a good level despite, you know, what should be award-winning productions. Time after time, Brent. This is what we do. But no, I think that a lot of that probably comes from the head coach, from Doug, although Doug's been showing a bit of emotion here more recently.
Right? Yeah.
Not as much in the press conferences with us, but, you know, you get the locker room video, you get some of the sideline stuff. You see a little bit more of it coming out from Doug. I think he just guards himself very well when he's with us in a media setting, which is fine. As a head coach, I certainly get that. But I think a lot of that comes from him and the example he's leading and teaching them how to do it and to do it right.
Yeah, this is why I go back to. I go back to the word like mature. Evan Ingram's a lot like this, right? We talked to Evan. There's a lot of guys like this in the room. Like there's just a lot of guys like this where they have this mentality, and I think it's an expectation, but I also think it's this like human nature is satisfaction, right? Like you can be satisfied easily. Not it. Like there's more out there to get, and they're not going to fall into that trap. And like Foye almost says it. Like Foye is like, we're not falling into that trap, man. They'll take it away as quickly as we got it in this league. And I think that comes with experience. I'll tell you how dialed in guy like Foye is. He was almost mad at himself for celebrating after the touchdown. And I go back to Stuart, I think it was in London when we talked to Foye. Remember when Darius Williams pick-sixed it? And he was like, yeah, I did my job, and then I went to the sideline because I knew I had to come right back out there, so I tried to catch a breath. Well, he was almost this time a little bit mad. He's like, I think we celebrated too much because we had to go right back out on the field. Like
following drive for the Saints, 16 plays, 75 yards after the pick six.
Who thinks of it like that in the moment? It's like, go celebrate, man. Mm-hmm. It's a pick six.
Celebrate in front of the cameras, especially the Action Sports Jacks camera, which, by the way, we got blocked off by the Steadicam guy. Marcel was not happy. They were coming right to him. The Steadicam guy got in the way.
Yeah, we got a little text chain on that when that happens.
I look back at the video, and you could see Josh Allen recognizes who the Jacksonville camera is, and he's trying to lead the gang to come celebrate at Marcel's camera, and then some big old guy in a red vest comes flying in with his Steadicam to get in the way.
It's so funny, like how we do, like in our world. Like everybody loves the lights and the prime and the
we hate the lights.
And we all hate it.
Keep the lights on. Why are we flickering?
Go back, the national media and everybody else. Go back and cover the Giants and the Rams and the Chiefs and whoever, and leave us alone down here. They get in our way. I might have told a guy to bleep off yesterday on our way to the locker room. He got me in a moment.
I like it, man.
I mean,
we don't mess around in
Jacksonville.
Here's the deal,
too. Like the they just like because they don't care about the little guys, right? I mean, they certainly don't care at all. So, and they're paying billions of dollars in rights fees, so I kind of don't blame them. But
wait, so are we though, right? Aren't we?
No, not really.
Billions of dollars.
But it is funny. It's like, get out of here. Like, we like there's 50 people in the media room, or it's too many.
We like our circle.
Yeah, we're used to doing press conferences where it's like a one-on-one. For our purposes, we kind of like it.
Well, and from a media, we like to look behind the curtain of media markets and things of that sort. We are a very rare market when it comes to NFL teams. Just having that be the only professional show in town, it creates a little bit more of that environment where it's tighter knit. There's only a few of us there, kind of thing. And personally, I absolutely love that aspect of it. I mean, that's very appealing to me, and I enjoy that quite a bit.
I was telling you this, I don't think I said it on air, but the Superdome is old, man. Like, that was the other thing that struck me yesterday, and I've been there a bunch, and you brought up a good point. You're like, well, we were there when the lights went off in the Super Bowl, and we were, but I didn't really, I guess at that time, I'm just thinking, okay, this is like the Superdome. This is this gigantic place and everything else. And
it says super in the title, for Pete's sake.
Yeah, and it's like what the Superdome, because of how loud it is, how unique the structure is, because it hosts Super Bowls, it feels like it's almost like should be the model stadium and everything else. Well, what we've seen in the last 5, 6, 7 years especially is a place like the Superdome get way past by with SoFi and Atlanta and now Vegas and all these other stadiums, MetLife. And it hit me yesterday, like in that, I was like, gosh, this place is kind of a dump. The underbelly is not good. Like the locker room, I was telling folks about the locker room. It's so small. Darius Williams always comes to the media room and stretches and does all the stuff before the game. I think he likes the quiet nature of it instead of the music playing. And so he just comes in there almost everywhere we go. So big or small locker room, we'll see him as we're getting our stuff ready, and he's just doing his things with headphones on. Well, before the show yesterday, for Countdown to Kickoff on TV, I come back in to grab a microphone or something else, and Trevor is in there with Darius. And I was like, I'm not going to say it. This was after warming up. We knew he was playing all this stuff. And I was just struck by it. He's just sitting there at the base, just like chilling out. And I said to him, I was like, is the locker room really that small? He's like, yeah, it's pretty small. He's like, also, it's kind of loud in there, so I just need a little quiet time before the game like that. And that was the only thing I said to him, and he said to me. But it just struck me. I'm like, I didn't think the Superdome of all places, where they're going to host another Super Bowl in like 2 years, or maybe it's not this coming year, but it might be the next year's cycle. I started to feel yesterday, I'm like, they need to upgrade and update the Superdome soon. This doesn't feel very modern to me at all.
Well, part of the reason that their Super Bowl will go back there is because they don't need to upgrade the city of New Orleans.
Well, they don't. In the capacity in the stadium, the noise. I mean,
74,000 inside.
Yeah, and it's so loud. It's really a great venue. But Webber, this is what we do now. Like, it's not just about the venue anymore. It's about luxury suites, and it's about the underbelly of driving Mack trucks in there and being able to do this and that. And that ain't the case at the Dome, like where all these other places have passed them by, including probably Jacksonville in a few years, we hope, with a new stadium renovation. So, yeah, fingers crossed on that front. It struck me. I don't know. I've been there a bunch for the last 20 years, and this was the time that it really struck me. I was like, they say it's the Superdome, then why the hell is it so small everywhere you go down here? And even the press box is tight. It's a tight press box. So everywhere that like we would go was pretty tight. And nowadays, everything is kind of spacious in those areas.
Kind of ironic in some of the places with these huge capacity, and yet the locker room's so tiny. Like Wembley. Wembley is the perfect example of that. 90,000. Now, that's different, though.
But that makes sense.
for soccer.
It makes sense because what do you got? 18 players, 15, whatever it is?
Yeah.
Not 53.
Not 53.
Now, Tottenham was built with the NFL in mind. Yeah. And so they had enough room, like totally different experience. But I will say this, the Superdome was very much like Wembley's locker room. Who else has bad locker room? I think like Washington now. I think it's pretty tiny. Buffalo's tiny.
It's gone now, thank goodness. But Oakland's
horrendous. I mean, Oakland was. It was amazing. They played football games.
Unreal.
It was really amazing. Like if you think the Jags Stadium is bad, the Jags Stadium is a Taj Mahal compared to Oakland.
Yeah, that's why they left.
It was amazing how bad that one is.
I haven't seen the one in Vegas yet that they moved to, but I'm excited to see.
Yeah,
it
we haven't seen that. Hope to see it in the Super Bowl,
right?
of course.
Yeah.
And I think the only two I haven't seen is that and Lambeau. I think that's it. So, but
I forget that Lambeau is off yours too. You haven't got Lambeau yet either.
Yeah, we're supposed to go in the year of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right, let's take a break. We come back, maybe a little more Jags talk. We'll also have our coach, Kevin Sullivan, on. We got a big night of the Friday Night Blitz. We roll right into it. The Blitz Scoreboard Show later tonight at 9 o'clock as well on all the social media channels and here on ESPN 690, presented by Nimnick Buick GMC, Baker's Sports, and Davoli's House of Cards. Hey, it's a fun weekend here in October, getting ready for Florida, Georgia next week. We got high school football tonight. Jags are riding high with a 4-game win streak. We'll be back on ESPN 690.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
A few brief evening showers tonight, but very hit and miss. Any rain will not last long in any one spot, then clearing skies and temperatures into the 50s by morning. A very pretty weekend. Lots of sunshine tomorrow. The afternoon high in the lower 80s, but with comfortable humidity. From the CBS 47 and Fox 30 Action News Jax First Alert Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beard's Diamonds. Don't miss Beard's incredible buy one, get one on wedding bands now through October 31st.
As the seasons change, one thing remains the same. Jacksonville and all of Northeast Florida are fueled by Celsius Essential Energy Drinks. If you spot ESPN 690 anywhere in the community, come hang with us and grab an ice-cold Celsius.
Let me help you get a little something for free with the air conditioning team I use. It's Bold City Heating and Air. Tell them Brent sent you and you get a free duct cleaning with the purchase of a new unit. BoldCityAC.com. Here's why I've partnered up with Bold City Heating and Air. It's a Jacksonville-grown and family-owned and operated business. Most AC places locally have been sold to corporations, not Bold City Heating and Air. And they take care of you the old-fashioned way. Awesome communication, awesome customer service, and they have an awesome new look. BoldCityAC.com for a tune-up on that overworked AC unit. BoldCityAC.com. Valor Bare Knuckle is back in Jacksonville. The legend Ken Shamrock playing host, and the card is highlighted with a heavyweight bout. Valor Bare Knuckle highlights combat sports in its truest form. It's one night, October 27th, and it's at UNF Arena, an intimate setting surrounding the electrifying bout circle. October 27th at UNF Arena. For ticket information, go to valorbk.com. Don't miss it. Raw, electric, exhilarating. Valor Bare Knuckle 2 in Jacksonville, October 27th, valorbk.com.
Hey, poker fans, you're in for a treat this October at Best Bet. With over $690,000 in poker promotions paid out this month, this is no time to be on the sidelines. Highlights include the $400 GoPo 400 with $40,000 guarantee at Best Bet Orange Park, the $100,000 guarantee St. Augustine Championship, and the return of the World Poker Tour $1 million guarantee at Best Bet Jacksonville. For all the details, visit bestbetjax.com. That's bestbetjax.com.
It's old school card collecting with new school breaks. Davoli's House of Cards does it all. Missing a card from an old 1987 baseball top set? They probably have it. Want to join in on a live TikTok break with the hottest new cards? You can do it with Davoli's House of Cards. Stop on by, talk some sports, find your favorite cards for your kids or for you, like when you were a kid. From Trevor Lawrence rookies to Pokemon and more, Davoli's House of Cards on 210. And join their live breaks on TikTok at Davoli's House of Breaks.
I'm Mark Anajar. I'm Glenn Levine. I'm Ellie Anajar. Together, we're Anajar and Levine. If you've been hurt in a car crash, we'll fight to get you the maximum compensation you deserve. Call Anajar and Levine for your free consultation. 1-800-747-FREE. Main office, Jacksonville.
Stay with ESPN 690 for your chance to see and hear our special events in the Farah and Farah Performance Studio throughout 2023. Powered by Farah and Farah and ESPN 690, Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio.
Hey, welcome back. Football at 5 rolls on. Brent Martineau along with Stuart Webber, Casey and Aaron back next week. And Coach Kevin Sullivan about to join us in just a few minutes. We'll talk some Friday Night Blitz, week number 9 of the high school football season. Should be a good night out there in the air. Remember, we got 2 nights of high school football next week, Thursday and Friday. Before we get some of the high school football talk, real quick, favorite play of yesterday was the fake punt. With Logan Cook and Tim Jones. And it's not just because it was executed. First fake punt executed since 2021. Jaguars looked like they were going to go for it, and then they decide to punt, and they fake punt. But there was more to the story there. First time Logan Cook's been involved in a fake punt since 2019. There were a couple other ones. I mentioned 2021. I think there was one more at least. But Dewey was the guy that was involved with those fake punts, more the up back and running it through. Backstory on Logan Cook, if you ever watch the Jags warm up in a game, is he's like the 4th quarterback or sometimes the 3rd quarterback throwing to the wide receivers in warmups. He really is a good athlete. He was a linebacker in high school. He's a heck of a punter. He's a big dude. Pretty good golfer. But he can chuck the football. Throws a nice ball. And he finally got that opportunity. But then they called it off until him and Tim Jones put it back on. Listen to the story from Logan Cook.
Well, you punted the ball really well today.
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely I shanked one, but I guess you're due for one of those every now and then.
Man, it's been since 2021 you guys ran a fake punt. What have you been doing the last few years? You've been like, come on, call that play, Coach.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually been since 2019 that I've been a part of the fake. So, I mean, I think Dewey's run a couple. But no, it's fun. It's we usually try to have a fake up every week, and it's something that every time you get ready to call whatever punt it is on 3rd down, you kind of, is it? So it was definitely fun to call it, and Coach is aggressive, and I like that.
Take us behind the scenes on that. You guys must rep this all the time, right? And you obviously warm up throwing to a lot of the receivers, so you can chuck the football. Most people might not know that, but you're just waiting for that opportunity, and he called it at the right time?
Yeah, we called it. We had the look, running out there, and then we didn't have the look, so the interior guys called it off. But then we got the look at the last second, so I was kind of watching. It was just kind of funny how it happened because everyone else besides me and Tim thought we were punting it. So but it kind of worked out. Me and him were on the same page, and that's really all that needed to happen, And the guys protected, and Tim ran a great route and got wide open, so it was good.
Give me a little more on that. How did he know at the last second? Did you signal something?
No, it was honestly I was just watching him. If you probably watching in slow motion, you can kind of see me watching him going to punt, and then I saw him throttle down, so I threw it to him. But honestly, just being on the same page, we worked it a lot after practice. We run some routes and do a lot of things, so it's fun. Coach lets us kind of play around and come up with some stuff, and that makes it fun. Punt gets boring a little bit.
Well, you did that well today too, but 4 in a row. You've been around here a bit. These are the kind of games that have slipped away in the past. What's different now?
I hate to say it, but I mean, I feel like the locker room is a big part of it, but definitely the general. Coach P does a great job keeping guys with the mentality. I mean, you watched last year, how many games did we win on the last drive, or come back from a deficit at halftime and win. And I mean, Trev's got this offense rolling, and I mean, the defense is playing lights out too, so it's fun.
Hey, that is Logan Cook, man. He's a fun guy. He's been around this thing for a while, and heck of a play. It was a big play, and he is so good. He's such a weapon. Flipped the field one time. I think he knocked him inside the 15 a couple of times. So Logan Cook continues to get the job done for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and him and Tim Jones made one of the big plays. I love that part about sports, and in this instance, football, when there's so much nuance involved in the play. They practice it and practice it and practice it. Week after week, they don't call it. They don't call it. For years, they don't call it. And then all that happened when they finally did call it. Like Doug was explaining it today, and I almost got the feeling, I was like, why didn't you call timeout? It looked like it might not work. Like you might want to call timeout the way this thing was lining up. Didn't do it, ends up working, and ends up being a pretty big play in the football game for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I just love that inside ball type of stuff sometimes. And we were even talking about this. He can't even really warm up on the sideline throwing the ball. So he really hasn't thrown a football since warm-ups. hours it's been by the time he actually executes that
If
play.
he's warming up, I feel like that's kind of a dead giveaway.
It's kind of giving it
You
away.
Probably don't want to be doing that. By the way, shout out to listener Simon. He wanted us to talk about it. He really likes that he's a lefty thrower as well. Throwing that wrinkle into it.
I think that adds to it.
Absolutely. And Logan Cook's got
righty kicker.
Yeah, got the arm.
Is he a righty kicker?
I'm down.
He's a righty kicker, right? Yeah, righty kicker.
He definitely kicks with one of his 2 feet.
He's a righty kicker, lefty thrower. How about that? Let's bring in Coach Kevin Sullivan. Stuart, take it away. I've got to tape something for TV, but let's talk some high school ball. Week number 9 right now on ESPN 690.
All right, yeah, we're talking a little high school football with our Hall of Famer, Coach Kevin Sullivan. Good enough to join us every week here on the program as Brent does some television work for us. And Sully, we're getting ready for Week 9 here on the Friday Night Blitz and some interesting matchups around the area. It's just crazy to think that we've only got 3 weeks left in the regular season here in Northeast Florida and Southeast Georgia.
Yeah, Week 9, it comes at you fast. We always used to tell the kids, it's kickoff classic, then it's Week 3, then it's Week 7, and then the season's over. And it goes so fast for the kids. It goes so fast for everybody out here covering the game and everything. But a lot of playoff jockeying coming around, district champions now being crowned. Each week we get another one. And should be another exciting night here on the First Coast.
Yeah, absolutely. We're taking a look at that schedule here for this evening with games all around the area. In fact, our cameras are going further than they ever have before, so I'm kind of excited about that. We got a camera going down to Putnam County to go get a couple games down in the southern portion of our viewing area. So if you're out there at Crescent City or Palatka and somehow the signal's getting to you, get excited because Action News Jack's cameras will be out there tonight. But let's start by talking about our game of the week. It's Sandalwood at Riverside. I know for Sandalwood it's been a bit of a down year, but let's talk about Riverside and just how well the Generals have performed this year. We obviously know about the big upset win over Trinity Christian. That one stands out. But overall, the Generals have played very well this season, Coach.
Yeah, they've done a really good job, and they're really starting to get it going a little bit offensively. They've always played great defense at Riverside year in, year out. They're known for their defense. Offensively, sort of unknown guys coming up, the running back, the quarterback. Gelsey's the wideout who's playing over on the other side. Jamal Harvey-Jackson, the big pass rush specialist who's now playing a little bit on offense the last few weeks, making some catches and stuff. So, again, they've done a really nice job of incorporating, getting their kids believing in what's going on. And I'm telling you what, they're going to be a force to reckon with in the playoffs.
Yeah, without a doubt. And Riverside, one of the few teams in our area that has already won its district championship. They've already won that district title by virtue of it being only a 3-team district. No other districts can be decided tonight. A lot of matchups next week that will just straight up decide district crowns. So head-to-head matchups next week that will mean a whole lot. One of those such matchups really happened last night with Buchholz taking down Bartram Trail, and the way they did it, I think, is the real story here. This Buchholz team with Miles Graham as their lead playmaker, a kid who's going to Florida. Buchholz is going to be tough to beat when it comes to the state of Florida, and Bartram Trail finds that out on Thursday night there in Gainesville.
Yeah, I don't know, like, if you were as shocked as I was when I got the score. I had the early score of 21-0, figured they'd pop back in, make it close, and then all of a sudden it's in the 40s, and really surprised about that. But Buchholz has been dismantling some good teams down the stretch all season, really solid. Graham's a great addition to them. They have a couple other guys really good on defense, too. So there's another team could make another deep run.
Back to some of tonight's matchups. Coach, one of your former teams with a big opportunity tonight. Atlantic Coast headed to the Graveyard to take on a Reigns team that is off to a 6-1 start. Obviously, they just played this past Saturday in the Northwest Classic, taking down Ribault. But Atlantic Coast with Step Durham, your guy, 4-3 this year. They've really turned some heads the way they turn things around there with a new head coach, only in his second year ever as a head coach in the high school game. Great test for them tonight against the talented Reigns squad.
Yeah, and again, if you said beginning of the year, would they be in this position, still a chance for a fight in playoff? They got 3 tough ones to finish the year, but they've won 4. When I talked to Step earlier in the year, he said he just wanted them to get used to being competitive and getting things going. He's done a really nice job, has won some good games for them, and been competitive in some. But tonight's going to be a different animal for them. Only thing you can hope is that maybe Raines is coming off the big Northwest Classic win over Revolt, and they might be a little bit overlooking. But going to the graveyard is going to be a monumental task for the Stingrays.
One tonight that you kind of see the records and you're like, oh, that game's not going to be that great. You're not as excited about it. But really, Fleming Island and Creekside, it's two teams with talented rosters. But the problem is that they're having to play Bartram Trail, Buchholz, Oakleaf in that district. It is just an absolute gauntlet for these teams. Well, those two will go head-to-head tonight in what should be an entertaining matchup. Obviously, Fleming Island's head coach Chad Parker used to be at Bartram, knows quite a bit about Creekside as a former rival. So I'm excited to see what that Golden Eagles Knights matchup looks like this evening too.
Yeah, again, both those teams, usually are fighting for playoff berths, and I think tonight is a long way, maybe more so for Creekside than Fleming Island. Coach Parker, they've lost 5 in a row. They've scored some points, but they've given up a lot of points over there. So tonight, I think it's going to be the running game tonight for Creekside should be the difference. Fleming Island's got to contain, and they've got to be able to play a little bit better defense. But it's going to be a lot of points scored today. Probably might even get 50-40, 50-38 type game tonight.
Yeah, the scoreboard operator is going to have to do their yeoman's work this evening. We bring back in Brent Martineau, fresh off his television duties. And Brent's second game is one I'm a little intrigued by. I'm curious to see how Yulee and Episcopal match up this evening. This Yulee team, they got beat by Baker County not too long ago in that district decider. But I will say Yulee has put together some really good matchups. Of course, their quarterback, Nico Smith, going to Stetson, which is pretty cool. So interested to see how they do tonight against Episcopal. Brent, I know you're excited to get to that one a little later.
Yeah, Episcopal, back-to-back weeks for me, and I think Episcopal's a sneaky team. I mean, they've got players. The Dixon kid's a really good receiver. They can get it to him, and I think they're a well-coached football team, play pretty hard. So I like it, too. I'm interested. I think you got a couple of gritty teams there with Yulee and Episcopal. Hey, Sully, I did want to ask you this, which I don't think Stuart would have yet. Hopefully he didn't. What do we know right now in this high school football season? Like, it's kind of weird, right? Like, we could go every year and say, hey, we know Bowles is good. We know Trinity's good. We know UC is good. No, I don't know how good those teams are. I feel like we know St. Augustine's very good. But even Bartram with their schedule, like, I don't know how good Bartram is. Is Ponte Vedra, like, elite this year? Are they really going to make some noise, or are they just good in the area? So I guess I come back to that. Like, what do we know as we enter week 9 of this high school football season that you're confident that you'd ride with the rest of the way?
Well, we know Bartram's the 4 losses that they have. Those teams are all undefeated, 27-0.
They know how to schedule, right?
Or they don't.
Right,
one of the two.
Okay, sure. We know that there's some good football teams that have played a lot of good people, Bowles included, Trinity included in that. And, so I think to me, and we talked about Ponte Vedra, the thing that stands out to Ponte Vedra is they're scoring points, but, man, they're really good on defense. They're really good on defense with a bunch of what we would call like no-name guys. You know what I mean? Just good high school football players that are in the program. Coach Price done a nice job, and I think they're going to cause some noise. Now, their schedule hasn't been as demanding as some of the other teams that we've seen playing. Riverside also, again, we talked about Riverside. I think they got a chance to make a deep run, but there'll always be somebody, every year there's always somebody it's week 3 in the playoffs and they're playing. And who's that going to be this year? We don't have the clear cut besides of St. Aug and probably Bradford County. And then there's a bunch of good teams, Raines being one, Riverside being one. So it's going to be fun the next couple of weeks. Next week especially, a lot of Thursday night games and then a lot of district deciders on Friday.
Stuart, you answer that question. Coach just brought something up. Like, so who's the sneaky team that's going to be playing still in, like, week 3 of the postseason? We're like, here they come. Like, Mandarin did that. Remember Mandarin did that the year they won the state championship. They're like, hey, they are hot. I mean, it could be them again, right? I mean, they have the talent. I'll tell you who else has been coming up lately and winning a lot of football games and weathered a quarterback injury, and that's Fletcher. Fletcher's winning a lot of games, and they win close.
Yeah, and Fletcher is one of those district deciders coming up here next week. They play First Coast with the winner winning that 3M1 title. By the way, I'll run down those games real quick for next week. District deciders, Fletcher First Coast, Rains versus Jackson, Bishop Kenny Bowls, our game of the week next week, by the way. Trinity Providence. How about Providence? They've only lost once this year and certainly surprised everyone when they beat University Christian. Are they at the level of Trinity Christian? We find that out next week. And Palatka versus Bradford. Palatka's 6-1. I know Bradford has been really good this year. We'll see Palatka tonight on the Friday Night Blitz. So excited to kind of see what they look like. We haven't had as many glimpses of them down in Putnam County this year, but really excited to kind of see how these next few weeks pan out here.
Coach, could Ed White fall in that category of a team that makes a little noise down the stretch?
Yeah, I think they can because defensively they've been so strong. You know, they've got a couple of really good losses. The 2019 to Fletcher, even though they had it in control, gave up a couple late scores, the uncharacteristics of them as far as defensively. But I think they're going to be a year away. I think they're really junior heavy. I don't think they're senior heavy. I think they're going to be a year away, Ed White. But they still got to be able to get in. Big game for them in Rebolt tonight, both with definitely playoff implications.
Coach Kevin Sullivan with us here, Brent Friends on ESPN 690. We'll do the Blitz Scoreboard Show presented by Nimick Buick GMC, Baker Sports, and Davoli's House of Cards tonight, 9 o'clock. We'll do it from the TV studio. We'll have it on social media right here on ESPN 690 as well, 9 p.m. until 10 p.m. And then the Friday Night Blitz, 10:30 on Fox 30. Our game of the week, Sandalwood at Riverside in the backyard. Have all the highlights, reaction, and much, much more all night long with our high school football coverage. Sully, before we let you go, I want to ask you a Jags question. As a guy who coached and saw talent but developed talent, I'm curious about like how you watch a guy like Trayvon Walker, who's obviously a talented player, has not lived up to the hype yet. I said earlier today it feels like Devin Lloyd is taking the step that a lot of people hoped Trayvon Walker would take. Yet I still feel like Walker's a good player and there's a lot of time left on the clock. That's me hedging it a little bit. I wonder how you feel, because I know you watch a lot of the Jags and you see it from a fan angle as well.
Right.
What's your take on him?
Well, I think he is disruptive. I think he's better against a run. There's a lot of people. Here's what I don't like is like he was the number one pick. It wasn't his fault they picked him first, right?
Yeah.
So he's going out and everybody hates him because half the fan base wanted somebody else and half the doesn't. So if he doesn't come out and have 10 sacks a game or 1 sack a game or whatever, something like that, I think it's a disservice to him because he's learning what they want him to do. People talk about, well, he's great against the run. Why don't they move him inside? Well, we're not in the meeting room. We're not in where he's the rusher on the edge. And Josh Allen is killing it on the backside, which, remember, 2 or 3 years ago, everybody said, oh, he was a bust as a first-round guy also because he wasn't lighting it up with the sack early in his career as he's learning. So I think Trayvon does a lot of positive things, but he does some glaring things like he misses the wide-open sack on the 3rd down towards the end of the game last night where he comes off, does a nice job around, not great moves, but power rush gets around. So I think there's some overlook as far as what we're asking him to do, but I think he's come out and really plays hard every down and really gets after it. And I'd still like to keep him going. I mean, he's year 2. He's 22 years old, you know. So I think that's coming. But again, I look at him and then I look at Josh Allen 4 or 5 years ago, where when he first came out, he was getting 2 or 3 sacks, and now he's killing it and making plays all over the place. And they're different players, but I like him, and I think we got to keep not rushing to judgment, trying to find something wrong with a 5-2 team that's won 4 in a row.
Yeah, it's an interesting deal. I mean, you said it. I mean, these guys can't help where they're picked, and look, you know, if you're picked in the 3rd round and you get like 7 sacks, you're like a hero. If you're picked in the 1st round, you get 7 sacks, it's not enough. And we've seen both ways. You said it, Josh Allen. You're right. There was a lull after his rookie year, and people are like, forget it. Get out of him. We need to go get somebody better. Ain't saying that right now. They're saying pay the guy. Like, it can change. But then there is Caleb Chase on, a guy that everybody thought would do better. He's a first-round pick, and quite frankly, he hasn't, and it doesn't look like he's going to. So I can see the fans' angst, but I do think it's a bit early on Trayvon. But I'd like to see him get going. I'd like to see him have a dominant game, and I think everybody would feel better. It's just, when is that going to come? Hopefully it's sooner than later. All right, Sully. Yep. Have fun by the fireplace out on that porch in the mountains tonight, and we'll talk to you a little bit later on the Blitz Scoreboard Show.
All righty.
All right, that's Kevin Sullivan talking high school football, Jags. He'll talk Florida State as well. In fact, we've got Florida State tomorrow night, a big one against Duke in Tally, and you can listen right here on your home for Florida State football on ESPN 690. Coverage begins at 5, kick at 7:30 tomorrow night on ESPN 690.
Ryan Radke here from Sunday Night Football on Westwood One. It's a marquee matchup with plenty of offensive star power coming up when Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, and the Philadelphia Eagles host Tua Tagovailoa, Tyreek Hill, and the Miami Dolphins. Both teams come into the matchup at 5-1, and they're the two top teams in total yards. Join Mike Golick and me for all the action on Sunday Night Football.
Coverage begins Sunday night at 7:30 on ESPN 690.
Time to hoop it up and swoop it up with the Ospreys. Men's and women's basketball, the opening tip is almost here. UNFOspreys.com for your season tickets. Plenty of options in the beautiful UNF Arena to watch a fun brand of basketball. Season tickets, flex plans, and premium seat and suite options are available. Matthew Driscoll and the men's team always play an exciting brand of basketball. And welcome new women's coach Erica Lambert to UNF Arena. It's the busiest home slate in the D1 era. More than 30 games at UNF Arena. See one and you'll want to see more. UNFOspreys.com.
This is Ortho Health Insights. Tips for life in motion brought to you by the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute. Hand and wrist pain is often caused by daily activities and overuse. One of the most common conditions is carpal tunnel syndrome. The symptoms of carpal tunnel syndrome can include numbness, tingling, burning, pain, or a loss of strength. JOI has innovative treatment and surgical strategies for carpal tunnel syndrome. The team at JOI can treat other hand, wrist, and finger conditions and injuries like fractures, sprains, dislocations, and arthritis. The orthopedic physicians at JOI are experienced in diagnosing the cause and treating your pain. Whether you need a course of physical therapy or surgery, JOI can help. Call 904-JOI-2000. That's 904-JOI-2000. Or learn more at JOI.net. JOI is the official sports medicine provider for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
It's old school card collecting with new school breaks. Devoli's House of Cards does it all. Missing a card from an old 1987 baseball top set? They probably have it. Want to join in on a live TikTok break with the hottest new cards? You can do it with Devoli's House of Cards. Stop on by, talk some sports, find your favorite cards for your kids or for you, like when you were a kid. From Trevor Lawrence rookies to Pokemon and more, Devoli's House of Cards on 210. And join their live breaks on TikTok at Devoli's House of Breaks. Discover how good your water can be with the new Connecticut softener and drinking water system. Connecticut's Twin Tank non-electric softeners are the most efficient softeners available. We have one in our home. We absolutely love it, have had it for over 5 years. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. Right now, you can save up to $1,000 on a Connecticut K5 drinking water system when you purchase a Connecticut Premier Softener. If you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and provide solutions that are right for you and your family. Imagine having clean, clear, purified water at your home. No more plastic bottles, no more waste, just great tasting, purified water that you can trust. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com, 904-552-1242 or cgcwater.com. Financing options available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm a proud customer of CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1428211.
Hello out there, all you hard workers. It's me, Pete the Job Guy.
And Angie, the boss.
And together we run Ascendo Resources, the best staffing agency in Jacksonville, Florida.
That's right, folks. We can help you with accounting, finance, technology, administrative, anything you need, we can help on a temporary, temp to hire, and permanent basis. So call the true professionals today at 904-663-2654 because you deserve it.
I feel like I'm constantly cleaning hair off my bathroom floor. At least my Swiffer sweeper makes it easy. Sweeper heavy-duty dry cloths have ultra-thick pads to trap and lock hairs, like a hair magnet. And when I'm finished cleaning up my hair, Sweeper takes care of his too. Now the hair's gone, all thanks to Swiffer. Try Swiffer Sweeper Heavy Duty Dry Cloths. I promise you'll love them or your money back. And also try Swiffer Sweeper Wet to make quick work of tough, sticky messes.
Angie's List is now Angie, and we've heard a lot of theories about why.
I thought it was an eco move. Fewer words, less paper.
No, it was so you could say it faster.
No, it's to be more iconic.
Must be a tech thing. But those aren't quite right. It's because now you can compare upfront prices, book a service instantly, and even get your project handled from start to finish.
Sounds easy.
It is, and it makes us so much more than just a list. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
Brent and Friends is sponsored by Best Bet, now open in St. Augustine.
This is Brent and Friends with Brent Martineau.
You don't even like your quarterback.
Casey Kurtz.
You don't even like your team.
And Aaron Schachter.
I don't even like myself, guys. Do you know me?
On Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio, ESPN 690.
Welcome back. Just a couple minutes ago here on a Friday. It's been a fun Friday of talking about a Jags win. It's been a lot of fun Mondays around here lately. It's been a fun month. Jaguars are 4-0 here in the month of October. They get a chance to go to 5-0 against Pittsburgh Steelers. Tough place to play. You know, one of the underrated stats right now for the Jags, they're 3-0 on the road. 3-0 on the road because the Buffalo game, remember, is a road game that wasn't as much of a road game.
Or if you count the Falcons game.
Yeah, it depends on which way you want to count it, right?
You know.
The only other team that is undefeated on the road, I think I saw, the Lions, I believe, are 3-0, and also the Chiefs are 3-0. So, and I think we did this Wednesday, that if you start looking at the other, like the rest of the schedule, how do you get to 10 wins, 11 wins? Well, part of this is I think you got to go 3-1 against either the AFC North or the NFC South. Well, now, guess what? They're in a fantastic position to go at least 3-1 against the NFC South. They already beat Atlanta. They now just beat the Saints. And they'll get Carolina, who you think, you're not even sure Carolina's going to win a game. And they'll play Tampa in Tampa on Christmas Eve, which looks like it could be a tough game. We'll see what it looks like down the road, but certainly a winnable game. And that's, to me, how you get to, like, if you were to sweep the NFC South, now you can maybe get to like a 12-win season. And now you can start getting into the mix for a number 2 seed or something like that. We'll see what Jags do with their own. See, I think the in-division, the home record, and then somewhere along the way, in 2017, I keep bringing this up, I'm pretty sure the Jags swept the AFC North that year. That helped buoy them toward winning the division and what they ended up doing. So Jags certainly now look once again like that team to beat in the AFC South. Keep an eye on Houston. But really, by the end of the week, they could have a 2-game lead in the AFC South. We'll find out if that happens. Stuart Webber, good job jumping in, man. Appreciate you hanging out with us the last couple of days.
Yeah, absolutely. Good to jump in here and have a little fun on ESPN 690, talk some ball. Always fun. And, of course, really excited about tonight with the high school football game. Love the Friday Night Blitz, man. It's hard to beat.
We got the Blitz.
We love that
The
stuff.
Blitz is on. Blitz Scoreboard Show, 9 o'clock. Friday Night Blitz, 10:30 on Fox 30. And we will see you tonight with all that coverage. Again, FSU tomorrow, and we've got you covered on the TV side all weekend long. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody. Thanks for listening on ESPN 690. Says this break is shorter so we can talk for 30 more seconds.
You're going to go like 45 and mess it all up.
Nah,
anyways,
I won't. I'll get out at 56.
All right.
Look at that. I got out early. Hey, first time in my life I've ever been out early. Like, I want that noted. For all of you that stay till the end, please note that for Casey and Aaron that I got out early.
Just to brag about getting out early and then end up getting out late.
Yeah, absolutely. I got 5 seconds?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for dancing with us. Have a good night.
Let's do it. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Do ball.
Have a good night, everybody.
As the seasons change, one thing remains the same. Jacksonville and all of Northeast Florida are fueled by Celsius Essential Energy Drinks. If you spot ESPN 690 anywhere in the community, come hang with us and grab an ice-cold Celsius.
Valor Bare Knuckle is back in Jacksonville. The legend Ken Shamrock playing host, and the card is highlighted with a heavyweight bout. Valor Bare Knuckle highlights combat sports in its truest form. It's one night, October 27th, and it's at UNF Arena, an intimate setting surrounding the electrifying bout circle. October 27th at UNF Arena. For ticket information, go to valorbk.com. Don't miss it. Raw, electric, exhilarating. Valor Bare Knuckle 2 in Jacksonville, October 27th, valorbk.com.
Play a little pool, watch some football, eat wings, and, of course, plenty of adult beverages. Perfect Rack Billiards is the place to be on game day and every day. Now open for lunch at 11:30 on Friday and Saturdays. Daily specials like 75-cent